And Judge, who do you have first on your docket?
I have Mr. Williams, Maurice Williams,
Okay.
and then it looks like we go right into the DVs. Or
We're gonna have the move up, interpreters, recess, and then we have one child support rate.
It's the move ups first.
oh, this Mr. Charles Jackson, is he on the move up list? He the phone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Oh, excuse me. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Tell me your name, please.
Maurice Lamar Williams Jr., ma'am.
Sir, you are here in case number 20 CF 7095. You were arrested for tampering with the witness, battery, and assault. There is probable cause. I'm getting a huge feedback from that courtroom. My voice is echoing.
Lower it a little.
Mr. Williams, there is probable cause. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to have any contact with the victim. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms, sir. You're not to return to the scene. It's gonna drive me nuts. Bond on count 1 is $1,000. Bond on count 2 is $100. Bond on count 3 is $100. Are the technical people still coming? Can we ask them to? Because it's like my whole voice is echoing every time I talk. Does it sound normal to you all over there?
Yes.
See, it doesn't here. Oh.
How you doing, ma'am?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
Good morning, sir. We're having a little bit of a technical issue, so just hold tight and I'll be right with you, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Ma'am, I don't know nothing about.
I told you. Good morning. Good, how are you? Okay, I'll do it. So it's just, it's not happening in two, but I'm in one, and when I speak, there's a large echo. Yep.
Yes, sir. I'm with you.
So hit the green, lit up green. I'm in the box on the right. I see the microphone. On the big screen or the little screen? Oh, okay. I'm looking at the. Oh, hold on one second. Oh, okay. All right. All right. I see all the buttons. So do I push? Yep. Yep. Okay. Okay, hold on. Okay. Oh, now huge feedback. So did you hear it? Okay. Sir, can you hear me? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that seems to be better. Let me try a couple.
She asked me. Okay.
He's not talking to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just having trouble with the withdrawals.
Dexter, can you move him from the mic, please?
Great, thank you so much. Okay, bye. All right, let's try this. Come on back, sir.
Oh, you're ready.
Okay, come on.
Hey,
Good morning. Tell me your name, please.
Charles Edwin Jackson Jr.
Mr. Jackson, sir, you are here in case number 20 CF 7168. You were arrested for battery, domestic violence, criminal mischief greater than $1,000, and resisting officer without violence. There is probable cause. I will appoint a public defender to represent you. Is there a witness for Mr. Jackson? Mr. Jackson, you are not to have any contact with the victim. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. You are to maintain a separate residence. Bond on count 1 will be $500.
Yes.
Bond on count 2 is going to be $150. Bond on count 3 will be $100.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Your Honor, we ask that the,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jackson, I am also going to order that you are not to possess or consume any alcohol or controlled substances without a valid prescription, and you're going to be tested through pretrial release. And I'm not going to take any action on your out on bond cases at this time, sir. Thank you.
All right, cool.
Are you ready? Through PTR. Okay. Good morning. Your name?
My name is Kevin Fudge.
Mr. Fudge, sir, you are here in case number 20 CF 289. You were arrested pursuant to a probable cause warrant for grand theft, third degree, 2 counts, and petty theft of $100 or more. I will appoint the public defender to represent you, sir. You are not to return to 7-Eleven, I believe. Yes, you're not to return to 7-Eleven. You're not to have any contact with any of the victims or witnesses.
Oh, excuse me, I have class.
Mr. Fudge, I'm going to release you on your own recognizance at this time.
Thank you,
You're
ma'am.
not to possess any weapons or firearms. You need to contact your lawyer within 24 hours of your release,
Thank
and
you,
you
ma'am.
must appear at all court dates, sir.
Yes, ma'am. That's it.
Sir, good morning. Your name?
David Antonio Jackson.
Mr. Jackson, this is 20 CF 7157. You were arrested for petty theft with 2 prior convictions. There's probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender. You're not to return to the Walmart. Your bond is $1,000. I'm revoking the bonds in 20 CF 6671 and 20 CF 4396. Those will be set at none, sir. Thank you.
Your Honor, does the court have 2 cases before
Oh, I did. There were 2. Yes. On Mr. Jackson's case, on Mr. Jackson's case, there was also 20 CF 7156, which is another petty theft with 2 prior convictions. There was probable cause for that offense. Bond will be $150, and I'll appoint the public defender to represent him in that matter as well.
thank you, Your Honor.
All right, sir. Good morning. Your name?
Ziggy Methodist, how are you doing, Your Honor?
Good morning. I don't know why all this is in here. Yeah.
I'm not sure that helps.
Maybe with the 2 to substantiate the 2 prior. Okay. All right. Sir, good morning.
Good morning.
You are here in case number 20 CF 7144. You were arrested for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and aggravated assault with a battery. I think it's just supposed to be aggravated battery.
Yeah, they didn't put it right. They didn't have it
I think so, Your Honor.
There's probable cause, sir. Mr. Matthias, do you make $600 per week?
right. Yes, I do. I work at a smoke shop, and I work I do tree work, and I also I sell a lot of stuff on offer for everybody in my community. I go around their house and
All right, and you don't have any dependents, sir?
no, ma'am.
All right, you don't qualify for the public defender. You're going to need to try to hire a lawyer to help you with this case.
Yeah, I could do
But
that.
if you're unable to do so, you need to contact. When you go back to court, let the judge know what steps you took to try to hire a lawyer, and they'll be able to help you with that.
No problem. Thank you.
Bond is going to be set at $2,500 on count 1 and $150 on count 2. I am revoking the bond in 20 CF 6868. That's going to be set at none. Thank you, sir. Good morning. Your name?
Angel Ortiz Perez.
Sir, you were here in 20 CF 7150. You were arrested for sexual
Your
activity
Honor,
with a
can we waive reading of the charges?
Yes. There's probable cause for the offense, sir. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to have any contact with the victim. You're not to have any contact with any children under the age of 18.
And Your Honor, may we have the no contact include the family or any witnesses?
Yes, Mr. Ortiz Perez, you're not to contact any of the victim family members or any of the witnesses in this case. Your bond is $15,000, sir. Thank you. Sir, good morning. Your name?
Garrett Wilkerson.
Mr. Wilkerson, you are here in 20 CF 4378. You were arrested pursuant to a probable cause warrant for grand theft of a motor vehicle. Your bond will be $1,000. You were also arrested in 20 CF 7151 for grand theft of a motor vehicle. There is probable cause for that offense. Your bond is $1,000. I'll appoint the public defender in all your cases, sir. I am revoking the bonds in 20 CF 1157 and 20 MM 2506. Those will be set at none, sir. Thank you. Good morning. Your name?
Michael Lee Bennett.
Mr. Bennett, you're here in 20 MM 497. You were arrested for petty theft. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender. Ms. Bush, were you going to make an offer on this case today?
Yes, Your Honor. May I have just one moment, please? I just need to find his history.
Mr. Bennett, did you want to enter a plea on your case this morning?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Okay.
And, Your Honor, just so that it's on the record, he does have an extensive history of petty theft convictions and petty theft 2 prior convictions as well. And based on just seeing the history, the state is not going to convey an offer today.
Okay, Ms. Bush. All right, Mr. Bennett, at this time, the state's not going to convey an offer on your case due to your criminal history, including multiple thefts. At this time, I'm going to release you on your own recognizance. You're not to return to the Walmart. You're not to have any contact with any of the witnesses in this case. You must appear at all court dates and contact your lawyer within 24 hours of your release from the jail. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, sir. You mean I'm getting ready to release my own coordinates today?
Yes, you are.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. I won't. Thank you.
Good morning.
Mr. Robinson is mental health, Your Honor.
All right. Miss Custon, I'm going to appoint your office to represent him. Do you want to try again tomorrow, or do you want to waive his appearance and me to conduct the IA?
Your Honor, he's able to resolve from our standpoint. Can we reset it for tomorrow?
Sure. What was the reason for the?
Mental health, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you think he's going to be okay tomorrow?
Yes, he should be okay tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. We'll reset him then. Your name, sir?
William Atkins.
Mr. Atkins, you are here for an out-of-county warrant out of Seminole County for a petty theft, third conviction. Your bond is set at none, sir. I am going to appoint the public defender here to represent you, and so that way they can coordinate with Seminole County to see if the judge there would like to set a bond in your case. Once we hear back from Seminole County, you'll be brought back to court to let you know what the resolution was.
Yeah.
Got it?
Thank you, sir. Good morning. Your name?
Jamali Christie.
Mr. Christie, you're also here for an out-of-county warrant out of Seminole County. It's for a violation of probation related to possession of methamphetamine, carrying a concealed weapon, and possession of cocaine. I will appoint the public defender here in Orange County to assist you in coordinating with Seminole County on your case until transportation between the counties resumes. Your bond at this time is set at none. Once we hear something back from Seminole County regarding your case, you will be brought back to court to inform you of what the judge's decision was on your bond. Thank you, sir. Ma'am, good morning. Your name?
Mariana Desroches.
Ma'am, you are here on a violation of probation in 19 CF 14179. Is this the case? Ma'am, were you in court yesterday morning?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I think this is the case that corrections came to see me about earlier.
It
this
is, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Ms. Dorches, at this time, on this affidavit, you're going to be released on your own recognizance. I know Judge Wish saw you yesterday, and your violation of probation was already contained within the warrant that you were arrested on, and she set a bond on that. So this is a duplicate. So you'll be released as to this affidavit.
Okay,
So you can post your bond.
okay, thank you.
Okay? Thank you. There is PC, but ROR. And then I'll write something in the notes. Just let me know when that one comes over, and I'm going to write something in the notes section of the order. Oh, okay. Okay. Good morning, can you hear me? Yeah, they did that last week too. Maybe they'll do that.
Okay. Oh, now I can hear you.
Yes, I didn't hit merge. We haven't been in this courtroom in a while, so I'm relearning how to use the technology over here.
I thought it was on my end, Your Honor, because I had a problem with another courtroom this morning. I'm like, oh no, this is.
Right,
Okay,
and you're in
so-
Osceola today, correct?
Yes, I am in Osceola.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, and that happened to me last week. Okay, no worries.
May I ask, Your Honor, where is the defendant? In courtroom 2?
Correct.
Okay, so let me connect to him on the headset.
Perfect.
One moment. Buenos días, señor. Usted.
Buenos días.
I can hear you.
He's
One moment,
indicating
Your
he
Honor.
can't hear you. Okay.
Sí, la puedo escuchar, señor.
Bingo. He can hear the interpreter, Your Honor.
Okay. And then for this first case, I also have a victim in courtroom 1 that's going to need an interpreter as well. All right. This is 20 MM 4175. Sir, please state your name.
Jaime Colón.
Jaime Colón.
Sir, you were arrested for battery, domestic violence, and 2 counts of assault on a law enforcement officer. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Ma'am, good morning. Please tell me your name.
My name is Brenda Silva Caban.
Madam Interpreter, could you also interpret for the witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Brenda Yvette Silva Caban.
Ma'am, do you want to have contact with Mr. Rodriguez?
Señora, ¿usted quiere tener contacto con el señor Rodríguez?
Sí, no quiero proseguir el caso.
Yes, I do not want to proceed with this case.
And you're not afraid of him?
¿Y usted no le tiene temor a él?
No.
No.
And how long have you been married?
¿Cuánto tiempo llevan ustedes de casados?
Como 28 años, 25 a 28 años.
25 to 28 years.
All right. Have there been any instances of violence between the two of you prior to this?
Antes de esto, ¿ha habido algún incidente de violencia entre ustedes dos?
Pero hace años, muchos años, pero no quiero proseguir con el caso.
But that was many, many years ago, but I do not want to proceed with this case.
I understand. Ms. Bush, did you have any questions?
Se le pregunta a la fiscal si tiene alguna pregunta.
No, Your Honor.
No, su señoría.
I'm sorry, Ms. Cassandí, do you have any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you.
La abogada
Sir, at
tampoco
this
tiene
time,
preguntas.
I am going to order you are not to have any hostile contact with your wife. You understand what that means?
Sí, señora, entiendo.
Yes, ma'am. I understand.
All right. You're also not to possess any weapons or firearms. and I will place you on pretrial release at this time.
Muchas gracias, señora. Que tenga buen día.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
All right,
You
sir.
have a good day.
You too, sir. Thank you.
Usted también.
Thank you.
Sir, good morning. Tell me your name, please.
Gómez Sánchez Heriberto. Sí.
Heriberto Gómez Sánchez.
Mr. Sanchez, this is case number 20 CT 3421. Your arraignment for the offense of operating a car without a valid driver's license. Ms. Custon, how would you like to proceed?
Your Honor, I wasn't able to speak to my client in the back. He is able to plea. I'm not sure about his immigration status. I believe the offer is, I'm assuming it's credit. How many days does he have, Madam?
8.
8, so it'd be 4 more days. Does he have an immigration hold?
He does have an immigration.
He does have an immigration hold.
So he can resolve if he would like. Would you like to resolve the case?
Pero nomás quería saber si no tengo derecho de alguna fianza.
I wanted to know if I have the right to a bond.
Are there,
I don't.
On this case, he has bond. On this case, he has no bond. It's 3 counts. 1 count is resist the officer without violence, battling on a law enforcement officer, and another count of resisting without violence.
It looks like that Mr. Sanchez has a pending felony matter where he does not have a bond, but he does have a bond in this case. Is this CT case connected to that felony case?
I didn't see that it was, Your
Okay.
Honor, but I'll double check.
can you hear me, Madam Interpreter, through the?
Counsel, I cannot hear you. I'm sorry.
If you could just let him know that we are going to enter a plea of not guilty at this time due to his pending felony charges, and he can call his lawyer to discuss the next steps.
Got it. Madam Interpreter, did you get that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Sanchez, your next court date is going to be June 29th in Division 61 at 8:30 a.m. in courtroom 6C. Thank you, sir.
Ok, igualmente.
Okay.
Good morning, your name?
Roberto Viera.
Roberto Viera.
Roberto Yera.
Sir, you are here. You have 2 cases, 20 CT 3714 and 20 CT 3715. You were arrested for attaching a tag not assigned and for driving while license suspended. There's probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Was there an offer for Mr. Vieira?
He also has a third case.
He does have a third case?
It's a felony case.
He has a possession of heroin.
Okay. Is it in the felony stat, maybe, Denise? Which we wouldn't have in here.
I only have one order, so I'm assuming.
But that makes sense
What's the other
because
case number?
um,
2020 CF 00718480.
I thought it was odd that on his face sheet it indicated felony, but then there was only these two
That's the one we
CT
have.
cases.
You have another one?
So this is his face sheet. And it says felony at the top, but then this was the only affidavit that was attached, was his two tickets. Roberto Vieira Santana. Mr. Vieira, what's your birthday?
15 de octubre del 81.
What was your birthday, sir?
10/15/89.
Thank you.
10/15/89.
Thank you. That's him. Okay, perfect.
Ms. Bertram, what was the CF case number?
It's Jose, somebody else.
2020 CF 00718480.
7184. Thank you.
Mr. Vieira's driving.
I think it's probably not a session.
Is his item board attached to the traffic or the?
Nope.
You know the item board number?
That case number.
2020 CF 0028180.
281.
80.
Ms. Bush, did you have the out on bond form? His out on bond case?
Yes, listed on the information sheet. I do, Your Honor, and I'm going to check it now.
Ms. Custon, are you aware of the out on bond case?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. do you
Oh,
want the
yes,
case number?
I am. I'm sorry. Just possession of. Is that correct?
This is the new
Yes.
case, right? The new felony. Can you pull this for me? This 20 CF? The out on bond
You know
form?
what, I think the list, they had them in the traffic section, and then they had them in the felony.
Okay. Oh my, okay. So he's not gonna wanna resolve those traffic cases today.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I just need to read the affidavit, the felony affidavit. This is odd. It says that they didn't test the heroin due to potential fentanyl. I don't think I've seen that before.
This is Florida Highway Patrol. Yes, they don't have a unit that is always local and available.
Okay.
So they take it in and then they come in and test it.
probable cause for count 1. You wouldn't have a prescription for fentanyl or heroin, so I'm not sure what that charge is about. Ms. Bishop, do you want me to turn it off with respect to that?
Your Honor, if I may just,
I didn't see any other substances in the affidavit.
and I just wanted to be sure that it wasn't contained in the traffic case, and it is not.
Okay.
This state does not wish to be heard.
All right, so he'll be ROR'd on count 1. There is probable cause on count 2. There's probable cause on count 3, probable cause on count 4 and 5.
Your Honor, I'm
Bond-
not sure what counts are what because these are, I just read them this morning because it was on the move-up docket.
Okay.
And I'm arguing that there's no probable cause for destruction of evidence, as nobody saw him try to destroy any evidence that drugs, the supposed drugs, which weren't tested, were found near a Coke bottle, which may be paraphernalia or it may be used to destroy evidence. So we're asking, there's no probable cause on that one.
I do find that there are enough facts contained in the affidavit that a reasonable person would conclude that destruction of evidence had been committed. So I do find probable cause, as I said, on all counts except for count 1. Count 2, bond will be $150. Count 3, it looks like there's 2 counts. Okay, and there's a baggie in the middle. Bond will be $100 on each. Count 3, bond will be $25,000. Count 4 will be $150. The traffic cases bond will be $100 on each count, and I am revoking the out on bond case in 20 CF 281. That will be set at none. Thank you, sir. Good morning. Your name?
Jose Velázquez Shepherd. Shepherd, XAPR.
Jose Velasquez Chapper. XAPER.
Yes, thank you. This is 20 CF 7171. Sir, you were arrested for possession of cocaine and possession of drug paraphernalia. There's probable cause. I will appoint a public defender to represent you. I'm going to release you on your own recognizance, sir. You're not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription. You must contact your lawyer within 24 hours of your release from custody, and you must appear at all court dates. I'll also inform you that you do have an immigration hold at this time, sir, so until that hold has been resolved, you will not be released. Thank you. Was that the last Spanish?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you, Madam Interpreter.
You're welcome, Your Honor. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
Is Mr. Slaceman coming to court?
He got in trouble downstairs.
Mr. Slazeman, Your Honor?
Yes.
Speech behavior, Your Honor.
He's still behavior?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. This was reset from yesterday, and it was also reset for behavior. So at this time, I'm going to find a waiver of his appearance based upon his inability to come to court due to his behavior. There's probable cause for loitering or prowling and resisting officer without violence. I'm going to stay the bond on both counts.
Your Honor, may I have that name and case number, please?
Sure. He's also not to return to the scene. The public defender is appointed. 20 269, and it's Gerald Slaseman, Slaseman.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Gaston?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Gaston, you're here for a writ of bodily attachment. You are going to be released on your own recognizance at this time. Your next court date is July 7th at 8:30 a.m. You are going to have to call in for the hearing. You're going to get 2 orders upon release. One will provide you the court date. It says to appear in person, but you are not to do that. There's a second subsequent order attached that indicates the call-in instructions. Make sure you call into the hearing on time. Otherwise, a warrant will be issued for your arrest, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Can I just verify your address?
5263 Lynette Street.
5263 what?
Lynette, Lanette.
Lantte?
Lanette.
Got it. Where is that at?
Orlando, Florida.
What's the zip code?
32811.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Denise, I wrote down this one. Good morning. Your name?
Gambo Bradley.
Mr. Bradley, sir, you are here in case number 20 CF 7175. You were arrested for child abuse and for battery, domestic violence. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Is there a witness here for Mr. Bradley? Sir, you are not to have any contact with the victim. You are to maintain a separate residence. You are not to possess any weapons or any firearms.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Bradley, who has your daughter now?
She's with her mother.
Okay. All right. You'll also need to comply with any DCF requests or investigations.
Yes, ma'am.
Bond on count 1 will be set at $500. Bond on count 2 at $100, sir. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Good morning. Your name?
Good morning.
Are you Mr. Burnett?
Randolph Burnett, yes.
Yes, sir. You're here in 20 CF 7131. You were arrested for tampering with a witness, battery, dating violence, and petty theft. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. As to count 1, I didn't see any facts to indicate that Mr. Burnett was aware that the victim was attempting to dial 911 or contact the police. Ms. Bush, did you want to be heard?
Yes, Your Honor, if I may have just a moment.
Sure.
Your Honor, in paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, and these are, this fact pattern is based on what the victim stated. And it said that she was holding her phone and was attempting to contact police. The state would assert that when he chose to knock the phone out of her hand, a reasonable person would assume that he knew why he was knocking the phone out of her hand. And so the state would assert that that is the factual basis for the tampering.
Okay. Ms. Cutson, did you want to respond?
Your Honor, I don't have the police report in front of me, but I did also state that she had previously said she had given him the phone, and there's no indication from my memory that she that he had any awareness of her calling the police. So we're asking him be ROR'd on tampering with witness.
Okay. Hey, Ms. Bush, I understand your argument, but it doesn't, there are no facts that establish that he knew who she was calling when he allegedly took the phone out of her hand. Did you want to request 24 hours with respect to that count?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So he'll be ROR as to count 1 as there's no PC. Count 2 will be set at $500. Count 3 will be set at $100. Is there a witness for Mr. Burnett? All right, so you're not to have any contact with the victim. You are to maintain a separate residence. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. If you need a one-time return with law enforcement to get your things, you may do that, sir.
Post a bond?
Yeah, you can close the bond.
I wouldn't even know how to even post a bond. No, I don't even have any money.
Good morning, your name?
Emmanuel Damon.
Mr. Alexander, this... Tell me your name again?
Emmanuel Damon.
Mr. Damon, okay. Mr. Damon, you are here in case number 20 CF 6713. You were arrested pursuant to a probable cause warrant for batteries by strangulation, domestic violence, and aggravated assault. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Is there a witness for Mr. Damon? Mr. Damon, you are not to have any contact with the victim. You're to maintain a separate residence. You are not to possess any weapons or any firearms. Do you have any questions about the no contact order, sir?
No.
If you need a one-time return with the police to get your things, you may do so. Count 1 is going to be set at $1,000. Count 2 will be set at $100 or $150.
And Your Honor, does the court have a second matter before it? I have 2
Oh,
case
yes, I do.
numbers.
Thank you. There's also 20 CF 7128, which is also a domestic violence matter, aggravated assault with a firearm, and battery by strangulation. There's probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender in that case as well, sir. Again, you're not to have any contact with the victim. You're to maintain a separate residence. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. Bond on count 1 is $2,500. Bond on count 2 is $150. Thank you, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Your name?
Deshadria Davis.
Miss Davis. And then Mr. LeBranch, I believe, is the victim in her case, and as well as also a defendant this morning.
Yes.
What was the
All
last
right.
name, Your Honor?
LeBranch.
One moment.
Thank you. I think we're good. Yeah. We're just going to take a brief recess. Just give me one moment. So this morning when we came
Oh. And it's going to be.
We could hear them, but they couldn't hear us.
And then all of a sudden, they helped Where would they see that?
So
This isn't even on.
so it should have remember the B button?
Yeah.
So that should be there. I will
Okay. All right. Okay.
That's the only caveat that I can do.
Okay, and then we were getting a lot of feedback when I was on, but then Jared instructed me to turn the volume all the way down.
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
it's because we have two systems going on at once.
Okay.
That one is really just, for the lack of a better term, to give your appearance in courtroom too.
Yes.
And then the other system is what's doing the heavy lifting where the audio, it's going the audio back and forth and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, and then in terms of like being on the record, like I know obviously I'm on the record right now in the call for it's being broadcast. How do you not be on the record?
So until I remove that,
Yeah.
it won't.
Okay.
What you could do to not have the other team hear you is you can just
Well, I wouldn't want the other team not to know. I would want the court reporter or the
I'll remove that as soon as you're done. and
Okay.
I'll get that one.
Okay. Oh.
The system that will go over is something free, so I just
Got it. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, we're good right now. So, all right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, we're ready to proceed. All right, Ms. Davis. Now we're just waiting on Mr. LeBron. Yes. You Jeff LeBranche?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Ms. Davis, you were arrested in 20 CF 7139 for aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, domestic violence. There's probable cause. I am going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Mr. LeBranche, are you seeking to have contact with Ms. Davis?
Yes.
How many children do you have?
Together one.
How old?
About 3 months.
3 months? And then how many other children are in the home?
2,
I see a 13-year-old, and how old's the other one?
8.
Do you have any concerns about their safety or your safety if I were to allow contact between the two of you?
Not at all.
Mr. LeBranche, you were also arrested for aggravated battery domestic violence
Yes.
in 20 CF 7138. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender in that matter as well. Ms. Davis, were you wanting to have contact with Mr. LeBranche?
Yes.
Are you afraid of him?
No.
If I were to allow contact between the two of you, do you have any concerns about your safety or the children's safety?
No.
Ms. Davis, do you have any concerns about your children witnessing this type of event?
No, I do not.
Have there been instances of violence between the two of you in the past?
Arguments, yes.
Well, I'm asking you about physical violence.
No.
Is there a third party who can facilitate contact with the children?
Yes.
Family member? Who would that be, ma'am?
It'll be my sister,
Okay, what's her name?
Jatoya Young.
Jatoya Young.
Yes.
All right. So today, based upon the information that I have, I'm going to order that there's to be no contact between the two of you. You can each have contact with the children if it's facilitated through a third party, Jatoya Young. You are to maintain a separate residence. You're not to possess any weapons or any firearms. You are to comply with any DCF requests or investigations. I'm going to place you both on pretrial release. Do either of you have any questions about anything that I've ordered?
Okay. So we can only contact if it's through my sister about the children, right?
That's right. Other than that, there's to be no contact. It's not a final order, so that can be later modified. You could have your lawyer file a motion. But today, I think that that's in the best interest of all involved.
Okay.
Okay? Anything else?
Nothing else.
Okay. I guess I also put each of you may have a one-time, I don't know who's going to say at the house, you may each have a one-time return with law enforcement to get anything that you may need from the house.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, one of them is allowed to live there, correct?
Yes.
Okay, but only one.
Sir, good morning. Tell me your name, please.
Marcus Demetrius Demps.
Mr. Demps, this is 20 CF 6532. You were arrested pursuant to a warrant for battery, one prior domestic violence. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Is there a witness for Mr. Demps? All right, Mr. Demps, you're not to have any contact with the victim. You're to maintain a separate residence. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms, sir. Bond will be set at $500. I am going to revoke the bonds in 19 CF 16465, 20 CF 6204, 19 CF 11912. Those are going to be set at none. Wait a second. Okay, I'm revoking the bonds in 19 CF 16465 and 19 CF 11912. Those will be set at none, but not in 20 CF 6204 because the offense date is after the alleged offense date in the warrant. Sir, good morning. Your name?
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is David Flores, date of birth 1/11/1986, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. This is 20 CF 7178. You were arrested for burglary with an assault or battery and battery domestic violence. There's probable cause, sir. I'll appoint the public defender.
Your Honor, we argue that there's no probable cause for burglary as he was allowed in by his mother. There was not every time that you're in someone's house it is a burglary when something happens. He was allowed in, so we argued there's no probable cause.
Ms. Bush?
Your Honor, at the beginning of the affidavit, it says that Ms. Flores stated her son came over, threatened her, and shoved his way into the house. The state would assert that that is probable cause, that when he shoved his way into the house and forced his way in, the fact that she opened the door does not give him permission to enter.
I do find that there is probable cause in both counts. And then in 20 MM 4185, he was arrested for resisting officer without violence. There's also probable cause for that offense. Ms. Bush, were you seeking to be heard with respect to bond on count one?
Yes, Your Honor. The state would ask the court to find that proof is evident or presumption is great that Mr. Flores, who is known to the victim, his mother, is the individual that did commit the burglary and did commit a battery once the burglary was committed. Actually, the battery also occurred at the time that he entered the home. And the state would ask the court to hold him at no bond as to the burglary with an assault or battery therein. And the state would also ask the court to note that he is currently out on bond on another burglary of an occupied dwelling, and that he has several crimes of violence in his conviction history.
Ms. Costa, did you want to respond?
Can I say something?
Yes, Your Honor. As for the burglary, again, we argue there's no probable cause and definitely that it's not proof evident, presumption great. In the police report, the mother had said that he was coming to pick up his belongings, that she didn't say she allowed, but in the police report it indicates that she allows him to leave some stuff there. He's allowed to pick it up when he's on and off, apparently in drugs. So we're arguing that proof evident, presumption great was not met. We're asking a bond be set. Additionally, his out on bond is separate people. They're unrelated completely. We're asking that a bond not be revoked in that case, and a bond be set in count 1 of this new charge.
I do find that there is proof evident or presumption great that the state has met their burden based upon the facts that are contained within the probable cause affidavit, including when it indicates that the mother said when he came up this morning, she told him to wait on the porch while she got his stuff, and he forced his way into the house, and then he committed an assault by threatening her and also by shoving her around the shoulders. So I do find that there is proof evident or presumption great. Based upon the fact that he's out on bond for another burglary of an occupied dwelling, although not the same victim, along with his criminal history, I'm not going to exercise discretion in setting a bond at this time. Bond on count 1 will remain at none. He can attempt to file a motion in Division 12. Bond on count 1 will be $100, and then I'm revoking 20 CF 6312. That will be set at none. Thank you, sir.
I would like to be pro se, because I know how to.
You'll have to file a motion for that, sir. Thank you.
And Your Honor, the bond on the misdemeanor was 100.
And the resisting will be 100 as well. Ma'am, good morning. Your name?
Stacy Haynes.
Ms. Haynes, this is 20 CF 7179. You were arrested for child abuse, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and battery domestic violence. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. I do find probable cause.
Your Honor,
Sir, good.
I have
Yes.
another probable cause argument as for child abuse.
Sure.
The jury instructions require that it must be intentionally inflicting physical or mental injury upon the victim and committing the intentional act of reasonably expected to result in the injury to the victim. We're arguing that no one in the police report indicates that she intentionally or meant to hit the child at all. It was completely by accident, and that's what the alleged victim states as well. So we're arguing that child abuse probable cause was not established.
Ms. Bush?
I may have just one moment, Your Honor. the state would assert that the child abuse was a disregard for the child's proximity, and the state would ask the court to maintain its finding of probable cause in this matter.
I do find, based upon the facts that are contained in the affidavit, that there are sufficient facts to establish that a reasonable person would believe that the crime had been committed, but I will certainly take into consideration all the facts in the affidavit when setting bond as to that count. Sir, good morning.
Good morning.
Tell me your name, please.
Norman Moore.
Mr. Moore, are you married to Ms. Hayes?
No, we co-parent. We were together for 6 years.
Do you live together?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to have contact with her?
Yes.
Are you afraid of her?
No, not at all.
Okay. And do you have any concerns about your son's safety if I were to have contact?
That was purely an accident. He just came around the corner and she didn't have her glasses or anything on anyway, so that was purely an accident that happened.
All right. Were drugs or alcohol a factor
No.
in this event? Okay. And do you want to continue living together?
Yes.
Ms. Bush, did you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Yes, I do. Sir, if something like this would happen in the future, would you call law enforcement?
Say that again?
Would you call law enforcement if an event like this happened again and you felt that you were in danger or your child, Michael, is in danger?
Yes, if it happens, but I mean, with my child, she will never hurt either one of our children intentionally. So,
But you would call law enforcement if you had concerns for your safety or the children's safety?
yes.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Custon, anything?
Yes, Your Honor. If, Mr. Moore, if a bond were to be posted, well, a bond will likely be given in this case. Who would be paying that bond? Would you post that bond?
More likely, yes.
Okay, no further questions, Your Honor.
All right. So bond on count 1 is going to be $100. Bond on count 2 will be $500. Bond on count 3 will be $100. Ms. Haynes, you're not to have any hostile contact with Mr. Moore. Do you understand what that means?
No, ma'am.
All right. So it means that you are not allowed to argue with him, fight with him, act aggressive toward him, or be disrespectful in any way. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You're also not to possess any weapons or firearms.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, they did say they were going to notify DCF in the affidavit. So if she could comply with any DCF instructions.
Okay. Ms. Custon, I am going to add that to the order that she's to comply with any DCF investigations.
Okay, Your Honor, I actually have an argument for her bond.
Okay.
I'm asking that she be released with non-monetary bond conditions, as she has no history whatsoever. She has arrests, but that are no convictions. We have testimony from the alleged victim who's not scared of her. There's no indication that she wouldn't appear in court.
Ms. Bush, did you want to be heard?
I'm sorry?
Your Honor, her prior domestic violence battery was with the same victim. I know he testified that he had no fear and wanted contact. However, there have been 2 prior incidents where he was the alleged victim. And the state would ask the court to stay the bond.
Based upon the argument of counsel and the fact that there's no prior criminal history or failures to appear, I will modify the monetary bond amount. At this time, she will be released on her own recognizance, subject to the previous conditions that were imposed by the court. Thank you, ma'am. Sir, good morning. Your name?
Brandon Jenkins.
Mr. Jenkins, you're here in 20 CF 6716. You were arrested for grand theft of a firearm and battery domestic violence. This was pursuant to a probable cause warrant. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. Ma'am, good morning.
Good morning.
Tell me your name, please.
Brittany Brown.
Ms. Brown, did you want to have contact with Mr. Jenkins?
Of course.
You're not afraid of him?
No, ma'am.
Do you live together?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have children together?
Yes, ma'am.
How many?
3.
And you don't have any concerns about their safety if I were to allow contact between the two of you?
Definitely not. This was just a minor argument, and also the charges that for the firearm, the grand theft, he didn't take it. He just moved it from the spot that we originally agreed on, and he didn't tell me. So when we got into the argument, I thought he took the gun, but when we came back to and we talked about it, then he told me where the gun was.
Whose gun is it?
It's my gun.
Ms. Bush, did you have any questions?
Yes, Ms. Brown,
Yes, ma'am.
you said you have 3 children,
Yes, ma'am.
and how old are they?
15, 13, and 6.
And when this event occurred, were they present?
Only the 6-year-old, because I had picked him up from summer camp, and because he wasn't feeling well. So then we were at the house. Then, like I said, we had got into a minor argument.
So do you have any concerns about your children witnessing this kind of behavior?
No, ma'am, because they don't never see us get into arguments.
And you have no concerns for their safety as well if they were to get in the middle?
No, ma'am, they don't. They try to make sure that they stay neutral. They love both of us, mom and dad.
Okay. All right. Thank you very
No
much.
problem. Thank you.
Ms. Huston, any questions?
Yes, Ms. Brown, would you be comfortable if my client were to be released with non-monetary release with just some restrictions, reporting requirements to make sure he shows up to court?
Of course, and I'll be there.
And if there was a monetary bond, which is, a money bond that had to be paid, would you be paying that bond?
Yes, ma'am.
No further questions.
Courtney, are they doing face-to-face meetings? Not still, just so follow? All right, Mr. Jenkins, at this time, I'm going to order that you are not to have any hostile contact with Ms. Brown. Do you understand what that means, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you are not to possess any weapons or firearms. That includes even touching it to move it. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I am going to place you on pretrial release at this time with weekly supervision. You're going to have to call in once a week.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're still working with Larry Jenkins Lawn Service?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir. Are you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
What are you doing? Good morning, sir. Your name?
Jeffrey Wayne Johnson, ma'am.
Mr. Johnson, you're here in 20 CF 7147. You were arrested for felony battery, great bodily harm. This was pursuant to a warrant. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. Is there a witness for Mr. Johnson? No, Your Honor. All right, Mr. Johnson, you are not to have any contact with the victim. You are to maintain a separate residence. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. Do you have any questions about any of the items there on the no contact order?
No contact. We live in 2 different homes, ma'am.
Okay.
No problem. What do you want me to do? So what does this mean?
No, no, I don't want any contact.
Mr. Johnson, I'm going to have you interviewed for pretrial release. If you qualify, you will be placed on pretrial release. Otherwise, your bond will be set at $500, sir.
Your Honor, we're requesting non-monetary release conditions. I know the victim's not here to testify, but he has no Florida history. He's a disabled vet. He was in safe book, so he wasn't eligible to be interviewed for PTR, but we are requesting that be ordered anyways.
We still got to collect some information, so I would just suggest get him interviewed.
Ms. Cusson, I put that as primary. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't qualify, but PTR still has to interview him. So it is ordered if he qualifies. But I'm not just going to court order it without him being interviewed.
Okay.
Okay, you understand?
Yes, I was just
Okay.
asking for it to be court ordered.
I see. Yeah, I'm not going to do that without them talking to him first.
Okay, I don't have it. When I got off the call with my wife, I gave her all my cash, and she has everything, so. Oh, okay, so am I going home? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Good morning. Your name?
Gregory Richardson.
Mr. Richardson, you are here in case number 20 CF 6124. You were arrested pursuant to a warrant for aggravated battery on a pregnant person, domestic violence. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. So I witness for Mr. Richardson. Sir, you are not to have any contact with the victim. You are to maintain a separate residence. You are not to possess any weapons or any firearms. Your bond will be $2,500. Mr. Richardson, do you have any questions about the no contact order, sir?
No, I don't.
All right, thank you.
Call your lawyer. We'll deal with that. Thank you.
Drive it.
Good morning, ma'am. Your name?
Salika
Counsel, is this
Russell.
your, Ms. Russell, is this your case, counselor?
Leroy Costner. Yes.
One moment, ma'am. Your lawyer is present in the courtroom. I'm just trying to get his name. I'll be right with you. Tell me your name, please.
Costner, Costner.
Coster.
Like the actor Kevin Costner.
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 Anyway, got it. Costner. I'll always remember now. This is 20 CF 7167. Ms. Russell, you were arrested for aggravated battery, domestic violence. Your attorney's present in the courtroom. Were you asking to be heard with respect to probable cause or just to bond?
Just the bond, Your Honor.
Sure, go ahead.
Your Honor, it's my understanding my client has no prior criminal history. She is the primary financial, the breadwinner, so to speak, for the house that she lives in. She and her husband are going through a divorce. They've been dealing with a mediator. There's already an agreed upon resolution with the mediator that the husband will vacate the home on June 19th. We would be asking that my client have possession of the home, if not before, but at least as of June 19th on, since that is their agreement in the divorce.
Sure. Are there children?
There are 3 children.
Okay. A minor?
16, 15, and 11.
Okay.
The 16-year-old, I believe, was a witness to some of the events.
Okay. Are all of the issues with respect to the children worked out in the divorce agreement?
It is. The divorce hasn't been filed. They've been going through a mediator, but it is my understanding from what they've agreed to that the children will remain in the home with my client.
Okay. So today, because I don't have the benefit of her husband's testimony, I'm going to order that there's to be no contact.
I think that's a good place to start.
I would allow contact regarding the children only through a third party if there's a person, Ms. Russell, that you have in mind that could facilitate that.
Yes, I do.
Who would that be?
I have Tara Van Dyke and Joseph Williams.
Okay.
There's 2 separate
Terry,
people.
Terry Van Dyke and Joseph Williams?
Correct.
Okay. Ms. Bush, before I go any further, did you want to be heard at all?
No,
Your Honor, the
no, ma'am.
state would just ask that the court order maintain separate residence and allow that to be determined between the parties.
Yes. Okay, so what I will do, Mr. Kostner and Ms. Russell, is I'm going to order there's to be no contact between the parties except for regarding the children through the third-party contact, either Terry Van Dyke or Joseph Williams, thank you. I'll order that you're to maintain a separate residence. So what that means is that if he's not living in the home, you can live there. But if he plans to be there till the 19th, you'll have to find another accommodation until he's vacated the house, or he could leave earlier and you can stay there. You just can't live in the house together.
Thank you.
Okay? You're not to possess any weapons or any firearms. I'm going to place you on pretrial release at this time. Courtney, would that be is the standard bi-weekly? It's bi-weekly. Okay, so you'll have to just call in and check in with pretrial release bi-weekly regarding your compliance with the court's order.
Okay.
Okay? Anything else, Mr. Kostner?
No, Your Honor, I believe that covers everything.
I mean, I guess I would also add, I noticed here there's also that DCF was called, so I would add that you're to comply with any DCF requests or investigations. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you,
May I
Mr.
go back
Kostner.
and speak
Yes.
to that?
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, good morning. Your name?
Good morning. My name is Jackie Smith.
Mr. Smith, you were arrested pursuant to a warrant in 20 CF 6658 for battery by strangulation, domestic violence, and battery domestic violence. I will appoint the public defender to represent you, sir. Is there a witness for Mr. Smith? Mr. Smith, you're not to have any contact with the victim. You're to maintain a separate residence. You are not to possess any weapons or any firearms, sir. Bond on count 1 is going to be $2,500. Bond on count 2 is $100. Mr. Smith, do you have any questions about the no contact order?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
All right. Does Mr. Smith need a one-time return? Yes. Mr. Smith, you can go back to the apartment one time with the police to get your things, sir.
Okay. I could leave my mother go over to gate.
What?
Excuse me?
I could leave my mother go over to gate.
I'm sorry, sir.
Can I let my mother go to the house to get my stuff?
Can his mom go to get his stuff?
No, sir, you have to go with law enforcement.
Okay.
Thank you.
What's my bond?
Your Honor, can, it looks like he's on probation.
Correct.
His stuff might be there for a while, so is there any way that his stuff can be gotten by someone else?
And I think that's what he was asking, if his mother could get his belongings.
Okay. I just wasn't sure what.
Yeah.
Do you have any objection to that, Ms. Bush?
For a third party to get.
Yeah. Okay. All right. A third party is able to pick up Mr. Smith's things if necessary.
Thank you.
So, can I go out on this?
No.
No?
On probation.
But, Your Honor, they should contact law enforcement.
Ms. Custon, wait a second. Mr. Smith?
That way there's no problem for them.
Mr. Smith and Ms. Custon, due to the nature of the case, I would ask that the third party contact law enforcement to be able to go get your things, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Your name?
Ariel Acevedo.
Mr. Acevedo, you're here in 20 MM 496. You were arrested for battery domestic violence. There's probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Is there a witness for Mr. Acevedo? Sir, you're not to have any contact with the victim. You're to maintain a separate residence. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. You may have a one-time return with law enforcement if needed to get your things. I'm going to place you on pretrial release at this time, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Acevedo, do you have any questions about the no contact order?
No, I read through it. I just have to take an officer with me, correct? To get my
Correct.
stuff? Okay.
So you're going to call the non-emergency number for your local police department and let them know that you need law enforcement assistance to get your belongings.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Ma'am, good morning. Your name?
Ashley Bell.
Miss Bell, you were arrested in 20 MM 4201 for battery domestic violence. There is probable cause. I will appoint the public defender to represent you.
Yes, ma'am.
Doesn't look like there's a witness. Miss Bell, you're not to have any contact with the victim. You are to maintain a separate residence. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. I'm going to place you on pretrial release. Miss Bell, do you have any questions about the no contact order?
No, ma'am.
All right. All right, this is Miss Cruz.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and how about Mr. Simmons? Can we bring Mr. Simmons out?
He's on his way, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Simmons, you were arrested in 20 MM 4187 for battery domestic violence. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Good morning, Mr. Simmons.
Good morning.
Mr. Simmons, did you want to have contact with Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Mr. Simmons, you were arrested in case number 20 MM 4186 for battery domestic violence. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you as well. Ms. Cruz, were you seeking to have contact with Mr. Simmons?
Yes.
Ms. Fisher, do you want to ask them any questions? Did you want to ask them any questions?
I apologize, Your Honor.
That's okay.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. This is directed to Ms. Cruz. You're not to have any contact with Mr. Simmons. You are to maintain a separate residence. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. I'll place you on pretrial release at this time. Mr. Simmons, you're not to have any contact with Ms. Cruz. You are to maintain a separate residence. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. I'm also going to place you on pretrial release. Ms. Cruz, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Simmons?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Ma'am, good morning. Tell me your name.
Renee Ducock.
Ma'am, you were arrested in 20 MM 4198 for battery dating violence. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Sir, good morning. Tell me your name.
Mr. Huddleston.
Mr. Huddleston, could I get you to move a little closer? I know it's hard with the mask on. Did you want to have contact with Ms. Ducock?
Yes.
Are you afraid of her?
No.
Do you have any concerns about her safety if I were to allow contact between the two of you?
No.
You want her to come back to live at the house?
Yes.
Any questions, Ms. Bush?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Custon, any questions?
Yes, if my client were to be released with non-monetary bond conditions such as telephone reporting, would you feel comfortable? Would you be okay if my client didn't pay a bond with money?
Do you understand, Mr. Huddleston?
Oh, she's asking me?
Yes.
If what now?
If you have any objection to Ms. DeCock being released on pretrial release.
No.
Okay. Anything else, Ms. Custon?
If there were a monetary bond, like a money bond, would you be paying that bond?
Yes.
Okay. No further questions.
All right. So, Ms. DeCock, how long have you lived here in Central Florida?
3 weeks.
Where did you live before?
Portland, Oregon.
Do you have any intention of returning to Portland, Oregon?
No.
Pardon me?
No.
Do you have any family members here in the area?
No.
Do you have a job?
No.
Is Mr. Huddleston the only contact you have here in Central Florida?
Yes.
Your Honor, if the state may just ask Mr. Huddleston one question.
Sure.
Mr. Huddleston, did you move to Florida with Ms. DeCock? So you have lived here how long?
I moved back here from Oregon about a year ago.
And when you were out of the state, were you in a relationship with her? Or is this a new relationship?
It's a new relationship, but I was in contact with her.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, sir.
So, Ms. DeCock, I'm going to order that you're not to have any hostile contact with Mr. Huddleston. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. You're not to possess or consume any controlled substances or alcohol. I'm going to have you tested through pretrial release, and I'm going to order you to pretrial release at this time. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ma'am, good morning. Your name?
Kateria.
Miss
Last name?
Medina.
Thank you. Miss Medina, this is 20MM 4203. You were arrested for battery, dating, violence. There's probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. I don't see any witnesses for Miss Medina. Ma'am, you're not to have any contact with the victim. You're to maintain a separate residence. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. I'm going to place you on pretrial release at this time, ma'am. Did you have any questions about the no contact order?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Did you need a one-time return with the police to get your things?
Do you have any stuff at the house? Well, she left the house, so we're both in the lease, so I'll be the one staying there. She moved her stuff with her mom.
Okay.
So no.
Okay, thank you. CTR. Ma'am, good morning. Your name?
Ginger Renee Odom.
Ms. Odom, this is 20MM 4195. You were arrested for battery domestic violence.
Yes.
There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you.
Thank you.
I do not see a witness for Ms. Odom. Ma'am, you're not to have any contact with the victim. You're to maintain a separate residence. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to place you on pretrial release at this time.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions about the no contact order?
No, ma'am. I need to go home though, but he's with his dad as of last night. So, if he comes back to my residence, what do I do?
Do you live together?
No, well, he's with his dad. He left last night. He took his stuff and left last night when he put me in jail for absolutely no reason, ma'am.
All right, well, ma'am, I guess if he doesn't live at your home and he comes there, you can call the police.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So I'm going home.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir, good morning. Tell me your name.
My name is Christopher Ugilis.
Mr. Ugilis, you are here in 20MM 4193. You were arrested for battery domestic violence. There's probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Tell me your name.
Sancho Mackey.
Miss Mackey, did you want to have contact with Mr. Ugilis?
Yes, please.
Okay. And are you afraid of him?
No.
Do you have any children together in the
Yes,
home?
ma'am.
How many?
One.
Do you have any concerns about your child's safety if I were to allow contact between the two of you?
No, ma'am.
Have there been instances of violence between the two of you in the past?
Nothing physical.
Ms. Bush, do you have any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Custon, anything?
No, Your Honor. We're just asking for ROR rather than pretrial release, the least restrictive way.
Sir, at this time, I will release you on your own recognizance, subject to the following conditions. You are not to have any hostile contact with Miss Mackey. Do you understand what that means?
Could you explain that for me, ma'am?
Yes. You cannot argue with her. You cannot be aggressive toward her or disrespectful in any way.
Okay, I understand.
You are not allowed to possess any weapons or firearms. You need to maintain contact with your lawyer and attend all court dates. Do you understand all of the conditions?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir, good morning. Your name?
Good morning.
Hey, Mr. Davey?
He bonded, Your Honor.
Okay. How about Mr. Joseph?
Right
Yes, Mr. Joseph.
Okay. Mr. Joseph, you were arrested in 3 cases. I will appoint the public defender to represent you in all 3. You have 20 CT 3695, 20 CT 3696, and 20 CT 3697. For driving a license suspended, no registration, and attaching a tag unassigned. There's probable cause, sir. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. It doesn't look like Mr. Jackson has any prior convictions for driving while license suspended. He does have an out on bond case.
And we removed that case, Your Honor.
You removed it?
Yes, we took it out because it in error. We're not supposed to fact those type of things. So
It's not a pending case?
it's an open case, but he's never been arrested. It's like a ticket case.
Oh, okay. It's a ticket?
Yeah.
All right. So, Ms. Custon, I don't know if you could hear that. Ms. Bush, I don't know either, but if you each have an out on bond form for 20 CT 439, that was not an arrest case. It was a citation. So, he does not have a FAD.
What's a FAD mean? Does that mean a detainer?
Yes, first appearance detainer.
So that means we don't revoke that, we're doing nothing.
Hold on. He wasn't. Okay. But I don't know if Mr. Joseph was attempting, because it says there's a hearing date of 7/10. So I don't know if Mr. Jackson's attempting to get his license or.
Yes, Your Honor, my client is trying to get his license. That's why we're requesting ROR today. I understand it's the same charge that he had a ticket for, but all that money he's going to have to pay for bond, he will end up being able to use towards paying off. He says he has about $1,200 to pay for him to get his license reinstated. And he does have a date set with his lawyer that hopefully by that date, he does have a driver's license.
Ms. Bush, did you want to be heard?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Mr. Jackson, I am going to release you on your own recognizance. As to all three of those cases, sir, you are not to drive without a valid driver's license. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You're trying to get out of this web, okay? So the more you drive, the worse it's going to get. You are to maintain contact with your lawyer and appear at all court dates, sir. Good luck, Mr. Jackson.
Your Honor, the next person on the docket, James Ruddick, bonded.
Mr. Ruddy bonded. Mr. Sharp? Sir?
Yes, ma'am?
Are you Mr. Sharp?
No, Hodges.
Excuse me?
Where is Sharp? What
We
type
don't
of?
have a sharp on our docket, Your Honor.
You have an inmate number?
Daniel Sharp, inmate number 200-13461.
And that's the traffic arraignment.
It's a trap. Maybe he bonded because I don't see a face sheet.
He bonded, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Mr. Bowers?
Yes, that's who we're at, right?
Hodges.
Hodges.
Say they didn't need him.
Mr. Bowers? Not
We
Mr.
don't need
Bowers.
him. We don't need him.
What about Mr. Hodges?
No.
Is that you, sir?
Yes, ma'am?
All right. Mr. Hodges, you're here in 18 CT 910. This is your arraignment.
He's already been sentenced on this case, Your Honor.
Okay. It looks, I'm being told Mr. Hodges has already been sentenced on
That
this
came in
case.
Monday.
Did I see you on Monday?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Your
I
Honor.
don't know why I'm back up
That's
there.
right. I don't know why you got brought back either, Mr. Hodges.
Explain to him.
All right. You're all set, Mr. Hodges. Have a nice day. Let's try again. Sir, tell me your name.
Akilo Powell.
All right, here we go. This is 20 CT 3446. This is your arraignment for driving under the influence on a bicycle. You are represented by the public defender.
Your Honor, at this
Ms.
time,
Hudson?
we're going to enter a not guilty plea.
Yes. All right. This is going to be Division 63, Judge Bigney. PTC is 723 at 8:30 a.m., courtroom 12C. Thank you, Mr. Powell.
So I still don't get no bond.
Good morning, your name?
Christopher Taylor.
Mr. Taylor, this is 20 CT 3378. This is your arraignment for the offense of driving while license suspended with knowledge. You are represented by the public defender. Ms. Custom, how would you like to proceed?
Not guilty, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Taylor, I'm going to give you a court date. Your pretrial conference is July 23rd at 8:30 a.m. in courtroom 12C. That's Division 63 in front of Judge Bigney. Thank you.
How do I know who my lawyer is?
It looks like we're at the 33-day motions.
Yes, let me have just 1 second. The state's ready.
None of them
All
is
right.
good.
This is 20 CF 5521 Stephen Garmani.
Is that the add-on docket, Your Honor?
No, this is the regular.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm going to need a minute. I
Take your time. Just let me know when you're
have
ready.
I have
No
the
problem.
wrong list. The state's ready, Your Honor.
Okay.
I just picked up the wrong list.
Sure. And that was 20 CF 5521 Stephen Garmani.
And a notice of non-filing was filed on June 9th.
That will be granted. 20 CF 5309 John Mendez.
A notice of non-filing on June 9th.
That'll be granted. 20 MM 3123 Tadrick Peterson.
A notice of non-filing on June 9th.
That will be granted. 20 CF 5212 Tadrick Peterson.
A notice of non-filing on May 29th.
That'll be granted. And then this is, looks like the add-on docket. This is 20 CF 5655 Jeffrey LaFay.
A notice of non-filing on June 9th, and defense counsel was emailed the notice.
Thank you, Ms. Bright. And 20 MM 3271 Raheem Inkram.
A notice of non-filing on June 9th, and on June 9th, that
You probably eat.
What's today? Exercise day. I'm doing push-ups, sit-ups, and pull-ups.
How often do you work out?
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Really?
I just do it on my own. I got my stuff to the house, the pull-up,
Yeah.
then the dips, and then the crunch. You go on the wall, I just go down, up the wall, then the push-ups.
Oh, so you did like the wall?
Yeah,
thing?
yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
See, I gotta get better at that. Because sometimes I don't know, when I leave here, I
And then I walk.
tired.
Walk. You know how to walk.
Yeah. I gotta do better.
Yeah.
But I get up early in the morning, I get up like 4. So when I leave here, I'm just like,
I don't mind out of work. I'm not,
really?
I mean,
I try to walk my dogs before
oh.
court, and I try to do all that. So when I leave here, since I've been up since 4, I'm tired.
I know. I gotta get all my sleep. That's why I like to do my stuff, and then I go to sleep. I can sleep a little longer.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they have to reboot it.
Dexter, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can, Your Honor.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and call Mr. Polite's case then. And could I have the attorneys place their appearances on the record?
Good afternoon, Edith Bush for the Office of the State Attorney.
Letitia Fowler, with the,
Go ahead, Ms. Fowler.
Letitia Fowler with the Office of Public Defender.
Okay,
Good afternoon, Judge. Richard Parker for Mr. Toure Polite.
thank you, Mr. Parker. Good afternoon, sir. Tell me your name, please.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Turi Polite.
All right, Mr. Polite, your attorney is present in the courtroom with me. Mr. Parker is here today. This is case number 20 CF 7130. You were arrested for attempted second-degree murder with a firearm and aggravated battery, great bodily harm. Mr. Parker, did you want to be heard with respect to probable cause?
Judge, we would stipulate as to the aggravated battery for probable cause for that. I did have some argument as to the attempted second.
Sure, go ahead.
So, Judge, in this case, the alleged victim, Ms. Weissman, she told the police she came to the house at approximately 11:30 at night. She was uninvited, not invited by anybody in the house. I'm not even sure how she knows where my client lives, except that she is the ex-girlfriend of my client's current girlfriend. Based on my investigation up to this point, this person had been stalking my client's girlfriend for a while, and it appears that she came to the house to try and make contact with them, according to her statement. But our position is that she was uninvited and she came there not to do any good. Judge, this is a clear stand your ground case. My client pinned down the alleged victim in this case and held her there until the police arrived. He did not flee the scene. My client was lawfully in possession of the firearm that night. Judge, based on the case law, it looks like JES v. State, which is 453 Southern 2nd 168, even the driveway of somebody's house can be considered the curtilage of the house, and this person went up to the windows on the front of the house, it looks like both of them, to try and do something. I don't know what she was trying to do. If you believe her statement on its face, she was trying to make contact with his girlfriend, who had no interest in talking to her. Judge, our position is that she was there up to no good. My client went outside to try and address her. She didn't respond. And Judge, it was pitch dark at that time. I'm not even sure if there was a curfew in effect that day, but people are not out at 11:30 at night going up to people's windows in the front of their houses. If she was there to make contact, to exchange clothing, there's a front door, and she could have used that. But she did not do that. So, Judge, my position is that there's no probable cause for attempted second-degree murder. He did not intend to kill her. The firearm that was used in this case has more than 2 rounds in it. It has a magazine, and he could have continued to use it, but instead he tackled her and held her there until the police got there, Judge. My position is that he never intended to effectuate the murder of this woman who came to the house. So I'm stipulating to the count 2. For count 1, I'd ask that you ROR him. Count 2, I'm asking for a $10,000 bond, and I can address any other questions the court might have. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Bush?
Yes, Your Honor. The state is at a disadvantage for facts that are not contained within the 4 corners of the affidavit. Those facts being that this person was not invited, that this individual, a lot of information with regard to the personal relationship. There is mention of an ex-girlfriend. However, the state would assert that regardless of the circumstances, when Mr. Polite came out of his home and he yelled, "Hey," and now at this point the victim is running away, and in running away, for Mr. Polite to fire a shot in the direction of an individual that is running, then the state would say that that is represents disregard for human life, and it was an act that had the potential of being deadly. And the state would ask the court to find probable cause as to count 1. The act of firing a firearm, particularly, as defense counsel said, it's dark outside. He sees someone running away from his residence and just fires a shot. The state would say that that is a eminently dangerous act, and it shows a depraved mind for the concern of another human being.
The standard for probable cause is whether or not, within the four corners of the affidavit, that a reasonable person would believe that the crime was committed and that all of the elements within the statute have been met. Second-degree murder is the unlawful killing of a human being when perpetrated by any act imminently dangerous to another and evincing a depraved mind regardless of human life, although without any premeditated design to effect the death of any particular individual. Murder in the second degree is a felony of the first degree, punishable by a term not exceeding 3 years. I definitely think that there are facts in the affidavit, Mr. Parker, that would establish potential defenses to the crime that he was arrested for. But I think that the elements have been met, and I think it meets the low standard of probable cause.
Yes, ma'am.
And looking at the statute, I believe that attempted second-degree murder with a firearm would be a first-degree felony punishable by 30.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so he is entitled to bond
Yes, ma'am.
on that case. And I know that you had requested a $10,000 bond as to count 2.
That's assuming that we succeeded in our argument on count 1.
I understand.
I just don't want you to punish him for having 2 counts, which are actually included lessers. Thank you.
Understood. Okay. So then I have a couple of questions for Mr. Polite. Mr. Polite, are you employed, sir?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
What kind of work do you do?
I work at a Dollar General warehouse.
Did you say Dollar General Warehouse?
Yes, Your Honor.
And how long have you worked there?
A little over a month, about a month and a half now.
Okay. And how long have you lived in Florida?
All my life, Your Honor. 26 years.
Who do you live with?
My mom.
You have other family here in Central Florida?
Yes, Your Honor. I have 4 other brothers who live here as well as my grandmother, who also live at that house.
Okay. Mr. Polite, do you have a passport?
No, Your Honor.
Did the police take the firearm last night?
Yes.
Are there any other firearms in the home?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Polite, who is going to be assisting you in paying your bond?
It'll be my mother and my brothers.
Where does your mom work?
At a daycare.
Is she one of the caregivers at the daycare? What's her position there?
I believe she's your teacher at the daycare.
Got it. What about your brothers? What do they do?
One of my brothers works at a tire shop, and the other 2 just recently lost their jobs due to the recent pandemic.
Okay. All right, I'm going to set bond on count 1 at $10,000, taking into consideration all the facts contained in the affidavit. It does seem to indicate that the victim saw her ex-girlfriend's car parked in the driveway, approached the house, all the lights were off. She tried to peek through the window to see if she could see her ex-girlfriend. She didn't see anyone. She didn't knock on the window. She heard someone exit the residence and possibly shout, "Hey." She said that Mr. Polite approached her aggressively. Then she began to run away. She heard a loud bang and saw a flash. She was then tackled and hit in the head by something hard. Mr. Polite then held her down and told her he was waiting for the police to come. So that's why the bond amount is the way it is based upon those facts. Bond on count 2 will be set at $150. Mr. Polite, you are not to have any contact with the victim or the victim's family members. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms, sir. Do you have any questions about those conditions?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Bush, did you have a position on the out on bond case?
Yes, Your Honor. The state would ask the court to revoke his release. I believe he was released on pretrial release.
That's correct.
And the state would have no objection to a bond being set at this time.
Okay. Mr. Parker, did you want to be heard at all?
We just asked for a $1,000 bail. We intended to plea that case out for a DWS that involves a dirt bike that he's riding on that same street.
I'm sorry, Mr. Parker. I can hear
Oh,
some
sorry.
of what you're saying. Thank you.
We intended to plea that case out for a duelist because it involves a dirt bike that he's riding on that same street in front of this house. So that's what we intend to do with that case. But a $1,000 bond would be fine.
Okay. I do think that is appropriate. I'm not going to actually revoke the PTR. I'm going to keep the PTR in place and have him continue to report to PTR. But I am going to add the monetary bond condition, given the fact that the new case that he has is a very serious offense.
Yes, ma'am.
Although he has only one failure to appear in his past in 2016, I think it's appropriate to add the monetary bond of $1,000 on the out-on bond case.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Anything else?
No, Judge. Have a great day.
Okay.
And nothing from the state, Your Honor.
Mr. Polite, did you hear everything?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you understand all the conditions?
I believe so, Your Honor, yes.
I'll take care of it.
All right. Thank you.
Judge.
Your Honor, it's 2 counts on the out on bond.
Oh, so 500 on each.
So it's 500 plus PTR.
500 each plus PTR on the out on bond. Yes. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Good morning, sir, or good afternoon. Your name?
My name is Rasheed Bradley.
Mr. Bradley, this is 20MM 4204. You were arrested for possession of marijuana less than 20 grams and carrying a weapon.
Yes, Your Honor.
There's probable cause, sir. Ms. Bush, was there an offer for Mr. Bradley on this case?
Your Honor, since the weapon is a firearm, the state's not prepared to make an offer at this time.
Okay. Mr. Bradley, I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. I'm going to set the bond. I'm going to ROR you on count 1. Bond will be $500 on count 2. I'm not going to revoke your bond on your out on bond case at this time,
much.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Thank you so much. Can I tell her thank you? But just thank you once again, Your Honor. I really
You're welcome, sir.
appreciate you.
You're welcome, sir.
Mental health for Jane.
How about Jane Doe?
Mental health, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Fowler, did you want me to, I'm going to appoint your office in Ms. Doe's case. Did you want me to reset it, or do you want me to waive the appearance? Or did you want to waive her appearance?
Your Honor, I would like to reset her case.
Okay. Mental health. Sir, good afternoon. Your name?
Jared Jolie.
Mr. Jolie, you are here, sir. In case number 20MM4200, you were arrested for battery. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Sir, you're not to have any contact with the victim. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms.
And you're-
Mr. You did not.
And Your Honor, the state would also ask for a no return to the victim's home.
Mr. Jolly, you're also not to return to the victim's home, sir.
I was not at the victim's home. Sorry. This happened at my home.
Okay. And that person doesn't live with you, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
It's my stepson's girlfriend he lives with.
Your Honor, we do show the victim's address as the address that law enforcement went to. Okay, I see. It says that it occurred at Mr. Jolie's address.
Yes. All right, sir, you're not to have any contact with this person. You're not to possess any weapons or any firearms. I'm going to release you on your own recognizance at this time, sir. You need to appear at all court dates and maintain contact with your lawyer. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, sir. Thank you. Good afternoon, sir. Your name?
Good morning, ma'am. David Short.
Mr. Short, this is 20MM4183. You were arrested for trespass on property after warning. Ms. Bush, is there an offer for Mr. Short?
Yes, Your Honor. It would be an adjudication of guilt, 2 days Orange County Jail, 2 days credit time served, no return to any Orlando International Airport property, and abide by all trespass warnings past and current.
Okay. Mr. Short, did you hear that, sir?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Did you want to accept the state's offer?
Yes, I will, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Did you read the plea form before court?
Yes, ma'am, thoroughly.
Do you have any questions about any of the rights that you're giving up?
No, ma'am, I don't.
Are you on probation?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand, if you're not a U.S. citizen, that this plea will subject you to deportation?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you taken any drugs, alcohol, or medication that would affect your ability
No, ma'am.
to understand what's happening in court today?
No, ma'am, I have not.
All right, sir, I'll accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 2 days in jail. You've got credit for 2 days time served. You're not to return to any Orlando International Airport properties.
Yes, ma'am.
You are to abide by the trespass warning. You will have to pay court costs due by June 10th of 2021. You have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing.
Yes, ma'am, I understand. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I did not.
Good morning.
Good afternoon, sir. Tell me your name.
Anthony Williams.
All right, Mr. Williams, you were here in case number 20MM4179. You were arrested for resisting officer without violence. There is probable cause. Ms. Bush, is there an offer for Mr. Williams?
Your Honor, as he's out on bond on another resisting without violence, the state's not prepared to make an offer today.
Okay. Is there an information filed in the out on bond case?
Yes, Your Honor. It is set, well, it was actually set to plea on the 2nd of this month. I don't know what happened. But the information was filed on February 27th.
Thank you, Ms. Bush. Mr. Williams, do you want to plead these cases out today, sir?
I want to plead not guilty.
Your Honor, may I have a moment?
Sure.
And Your Honor, just so that the court knows, his prior case involved chase and multiple ground units.
Is there a cost of investigation in that case?
I am looking now to see.
Thank you.
It started off as a grand theft third degree
Okay.
with a motor vehicle.
All right. Miss Fowler, he actually has regional conflict on the out on bond case. So at this time, I'm going to stay the bond on the new case. I'm not going to revoke the old case. Sir, you need to get in contact with your lawyer regarding both of these cases, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
And Your Honor?
Yes.
To clarify, you stayed the bond?
I did.
Okay.
Good afternoon, sir. Your name?
William J. Walsh, Jr.
Mr. Walsh, you were arrested in 19 MM 8011. This is a violation of probation, sir. It is alleged that you violated your probation by having hostile contact with the victim when it was reported to the police that you were sending texts to her that were of a threatening nature. At this time, sir, your bond is set at none. I am going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Ms. Fowler, did you want to enter a denial at this time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Walsh, your next court date is going to be June 26th at 10 a.m. in courtroom 7C. That's in Division 50 in front of Judge Shoemaker. Thank you, sir.
So what does that mean? I stay in jail for? Excuse me?
Good afternoon, sir. Your name?
Robert Angel.
Mr. Angel, this is 20 CF 7182. You were arrested for theft of $750 or more.
Yes, ma'am.
There's probable cause, sir. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to return to Home Depot. Your bond is going to be $1,000, and I'm not going to revoke your release on your other case. Thank you, sir.
What's that mean? Huh?
Good afternoon. Your name?
Steve Augustin.
Mr. Augustin, this is 20 CF 7170. You were arrested for possession of cocaine with intent to sell or deliver and possession of drug paraphernalia. There's probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. I'm going to set bond on count 1 at $2,500 and on count 2 at $100. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. Your name?
Samuel Battle.
Mr. Battle, this is 20 CF 7129. You were arrested for aggravated assault with a firearm. There's probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to have any contact with the victim. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms, sir. Your bond is $2,500. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, good afternoon. Your name?
Yeah.
Mr. Brandow, this is 20 CF 7149. You were arrested for grand theft, third degree. There's probable cause. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to return to Home Depot. Your bond is going to be set at $1,000. I'm revoking the bonds in 20 MM 3484 and 19 CF 16359. Those are going to be set at none, sir. Thank you.
Shouldn't have a misdemeanor case open. Shouldn't have any misdemeanor cases open. I have one felony open and no misdemeanors.
Good afternoon. Your name?
Christopher Burke.
Mr. Burke, you are here in case number 20 CF 7165. You were arrested for possession of marijuana over 20 grams and possession of a controlled substance. Ms. Fowler, you have a probable cause challenge?
Yes, Your Honor. In regards to the possession of controlled substance, in the affidavit does not state which controlled substance they found. It states that it was an unknown white substance inside a cabinet in the kitchen area. Also, that substance was not field tested.
Ms. Bush, response.
Your Honor, the state is not going to make a request of the court. This is where the agency also sent it to FDLE based on officer safety concerns, but the state's not making a request at this time.
Okay. Right, so bond on count one is going to be $1,000. It'll be ROR'd as to count two. However, I'm revoking the bonds in all the out on bond cases. Those are going to be set at none. Thank you, Mr. Burke.
Thank you.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, sir. Tell me your name.
Orlando Candelaria.
All right, Mr. Candelaria, you are here in 20 CF 7159. You were arrested for grand theft, third degree. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you.
Okay. Is it all right if I say something, or?
No,
Just-
because of the facts of the case.
Sir, you're not to have any contact with the victim and you're not to return to the scene.
To work, yes, I understand. I work at the convention center, and I'm not gonna go back, and I'm gonna figure out what was going on. I had the key to my scooter. I don't know what's going on.
All right, Mr. Candelaria.
Be eligible for pretrial release? I don't have anyone to help me bond out at all. And I was just on pretrial in December, and I passed with flying colors, and I beat my last charge, Your Honor. I would not have no problem being on pretrial release.
All right, I'm going to order pretrial release, sir.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Okay.
May Ma'am, good afternoon. Your name?
Heidi Conception.
Ma'am, you were arrested in case number 16 CF 5749. This was pursuant to a warrant. The state has filed a 4-count information charging you with possession of cannabis with intent to sell or deliver, unlawful use of a two-way communication device, possession of cannabis less than 20 grams, and possession of drug paraphernalia.
Yes.
I will appoint the public defender to represent you. She's on PTR for the defrauding case, correct?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to add this case. I'm going to add PTR on this case as well. She doesn't have any other criminal history. This case is from 2016. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Oh, no.
And Your Honor, is the court ordering random urinalysis or not?
No.
Okay.
Ma'am, good afternoon. Your name?
Gohill.
Ms. Gohill, this is 20 CF 7166. You were arrested for possession of methamphetamine, possession of cannabis, less than 20 grams, and possession of drug paraphernalia. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Courtney, does she now qualify?
She does.
Okay. Ms. Gohill, I'm going to place you in pretrial release at this time. You are not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription, and you will be tested through pretrial release, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ma'am. Your name?
Anna Hammett.
Ms. Hammett, you were arrested in 20 CF 7154 for possession of cocaine and possession of methamphetamine.
It actually was a
probable.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, you were arrested pursuant to a warrant. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. I'm going to set bond at 500 on count 1, 100 on count 2. You are not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription. You will be tested through pretrial release. I'm not going to revoke your bond on your out on bond case at this time, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Your Honor, will the court consider a court-ordered PTR due to her light criminal history? She's unable to afford bond.
Ms. Hammett, are you working?
No, I have 2 kids at home that are disabled. So I care for them. And my
How old
oldest
are
at
they?
home is 13. That's why I'm really worried and trying to get back home to them. Because 2 of them really can't care for themselves.
All right. I will do court-ordered pretrial release with the random urinalysis.
Okay, random urinalysis, all right? Okay, thank you.
Ms. Hammett doesn't have any failure to appear, only 1 prior felony conviction. No violent offenses either. No violent. Just pretend.
So no,
No, yes. Okay. Just no monetary value. Good afternoon. Your name?
Dale Vazaron Kegler, Senior, ma'am.
Mr. Kegler, this is 20 CF 7163. You were arrested for aggravated assault with a weapon and battery. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. You're not to have any contact with the victim or witnesses. Bond is $2,500 on count 1 and $100 on count 2. I am revoking the bonds and the out on bond cases. Those will be set at none. Thank you, sir.
And Your Honor, what was the amount on the second account?
100.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, she revoked my other bonds. So I have to go back in front of the judge to get my money.
We're going to call Anthony Parada at the very end. Are you Mr. Parada?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'm going to call yours at the end because I've got to call your attorney on the phone. So I'm going to keep moving through these cases and then we'll recall your case.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Did Alexis Rivera Cordero bond? Um, 20013-460. Alexis Rivera Cordero. Bonded.
You have Bobby Sims next, Your Honor.
I do.
Mental health.
Okay. Miss Fowler, do you want me to reset this case or proceed with the initial hearing?
Your Honor, we can waive his appearance.
Okay, I'll appoint your office to represent him. In 20 CF 7141, he was arrested for possession of a firearm or ammunition by a convicted felon and 2 counts of petty theft. There's probable cause. He's not to return to 7-Eleven, have any contact with any of the witnesses, or possess any weapons or firearms. Bond on count 1 will be $1,500. Bond on count 2, $100. Bond on count 3, $100. I am revoking all of the out on bond forms. Those will be set at none. Good afternoon, sir. Your name?
My name is Luis Viveros.
Sir, this is case number 20 CF 6881. You were arrested pursuant to a warrant for sexual battery on a child under 12. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. Ms. Bush, were you asking to be heard on bond?
Yes.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, Your Honor. And may I have the name again?
Sure. It's Luis Vivieros.
And Your Honor, if I may prevail upon the court for a case number,
Sure. It's 20 CF 6881.
Thank you. Apologize, I for some reason did not have the paper. Your Honor, the state would ask the court, based on the affidavit, to issue the warrant, to take those facts into consideration. And the state would ask that the court find that proof is evident, the presumption is great, that based on the fact that the victim and the victim's mother both know the defendant, and the victim so identified the defendant as the perpetrator of these acts, the state would ask the court to find that proof is evident or presumption is great and hold him at no bond as to this count.
Okay. Ms. Fowler, did you want to be heard?
Yes, Your Honor. The affidavit is based solely on the victim's statements. There's no witnesses. The grandmother that is mentioned in the warrant, she never saw this incident, the alleged incident. There's no DNA evidence that links him to this alleged incident. Also, during the controlled call, I believe with the grandmother, there was no confession. So, Your Honor, I believe the facts in the warrant does not prove evident, presumption great.
The state has not met the burden to establish that there is proof evident or presumption grade based upon the information that's contained in the arrest affidavit. So Mr. Vivieros would be entitled to bond. Sir, how long have you lived in Florida?
I would say 17 years, more or less.
Do you own a home?
Just not right now. Officially, I pay for the mobile home, but it's under my friend Vivian's name. But I pay for it. It's a mobile home for elder community 55 and over. It's called Paul Valley. And I have my little pet there by herself. I just moved about a week ago.
Do you have family in the area?
No, ma'am. No, Your Honor.
Do you work?
I used to till last week. May 27 was my last day.
Are you attempting to look for work?
I beg your pardon?
Are you attempting to look for work? Is it your intent to return to work?
I would like to.
What kind of work do you do?
I used to take care of my accuser's father. It's an elder elder gentleman, 83 years old. I used to accompany him while the coronavirus issue. I used to do all the grocery for him every day. And I worked for him almost 5 years, 4 years and a half.
Do you have a passport?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you own any firearms?
Yes, Your Honor. One small firearm, and I have the. I took the course and I had the permit to have it concealed, but I keep it at home anyways.
Ms. Bush, did you have any questions related to bond conditions for Mr. Vivieros?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor, does the court have the first appearance information sheet? Because I don't know what.
So Mr. Vivieros has no criminal history.
Okay.
At all.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And he's 62 years old.
Yes, and the victim was
No, I understand. I was just saying that.
considerably younger than that.
Mr. Vivieros, you are not to have any contact with the victim in this matter or her family members or witnesses.
I understand.
You are not to have any contact with any children under the age of 18. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. You will need to surrender those to the police within 6 hours of your release from the jail. You will also need to.
I'm sorry.
Pardon me?
To whom I should surrender the
To the
weapon?
police. So you will
police.
need to. Yes, you will need to call your local police department and explain to them that you have firearms that you need to surrender per a court order, and they will explain to you how to do that.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
You also will need to surrender your passport within 24 hours of your release. If that should fall on a weekend, it will be the following business day.
To whom?
You will surrender that to the clerk of the court.
Okay.
And the bond amount is going to be $25,000. Thank you, sir.
And Your Honor, the surrender of the firearm was within
6 hours.
6 hours. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, your name? Mr. Watkins, sir, you are here in case number 20 CF 7162. You were arrested for possession of cannabis over 20 grams, possession of cocaine, and possession of a weapon or ammunition by a convicted felon. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription.
Yes, ma'am.
You also have 20 CF 7164. You were arrested for trafficking in a controlled substance, which is the cannabis.
I ain't never been arrested for that.
No, sir, it's the same
Yes, ma'am.
case. Okay, okay. The public defender will be appointed on that case as well. Sir, as I said, you're not to possess or consume any controlled substances or possess any weapons. You will be tested through pretrial release with random urinalysis, and I'm going to place you on pretrial release at this time.
Yes, ma'am. Can I ask you what that means? Okay. With no bond, no. Okay.
Good afternoon, sir. Your name?
Rodrigo Henderson.
How about Mr. Martinez? And the two out of counties are those last?
Out of county land.
Do them last? Okay,
It'll be the felony VOP.
got it. Mr. Henderson, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Henderson, you are here in 16 CF 5656. It is alleged that you have violated your probation by not completing the batterer's intervention program. At this time, your bond is set at none. You're going to see Judge Whitehead in the next 7 to 10 days. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you, sir. Thank you. Good afternoon. Your name? Pardon me?
Robert Loki.
Mr. Lockie, you have two cases this afternoon. You have 16 CF 8331, which is a violation of probation. In that case, sir, it is alleged that you have failed to report to probation as directed. You were supposed to report back in December of 2019, and you had failed to report as of January of 2020. Your bond is set at none. And then in 15 CT 1850, you failed to appear on a driving while license suspended charge. Your bond in that case, sir, is $2,000. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you in both. You will see Judge Whitehead in the next 7 to 10 days on the violation of probation.
What about the other case?
You have a bond in that case, and it will get. What do you? Just 1 second. He failed to appear for a status hearing, so I need to give him a court date. All right, I'm going to give you a court date as well on the driving case. It's a division. What is it? 80. Which is the rotation division. All right, so your next court date is going to be August 10th at 2 p.m. in courtroom 9C.
Okay, and after I see Judge Whitehead, I don't have to bond out on that case?
Well, you don't have a bond on the Judge Whitehead case.
No,
you have
I'm
to
saying
have your
that-
lawyer file a motion.
After I see Judge Whitehead for the VOP, I can go ahead and get out of jail and then go to court in August?
I don't know because I don't know what's going to happen on the VOP. If you resolve that case, then yes, but I don't know what's going to happen, so I can't answer that question.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, good afternoon. Your name?
Benny Ruiz.
Sir, you were arrested in 20 MM 4184 for possession of cannabis less than 20 grams and possession of drug paraphernalia. There's probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Bond on count 1 is 500. Bond on count 2 is 100. There is probable cause for the violation of probation based upon the facts that are contained in the new law offense.
Your Honor,
Yes, Ms. Bush?
made a state.
Well, on the 2020 MM 4184,
Yes.
as this is a cannabis case, the state would recommend ROR
Okay.
as to this.
On that case in terms of bond. ROR on the cannabis case, on the misdemeanor?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. I'll accept that recommendation and set bond, or release some ROR on that case. I'm gonna set a bond of $2,500 on the violation of probation. Understanding, Mr. Ruiz, that the trial judge who's assigned to your violation of probation case may decide that they don't think you should have a bond and could revoke that. Also, the probation officer could actually file an affidavit of violation of probation and you could get rearrested. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You're to report to probation within 24 hours of your release from the jail.
And Your Honor, may we have a no possession or consumption of any controlled substance?
Yes, I'll put that on 20 MM 4184. Sir, you're not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Your name, sir? Good afternoon. Tell me your name. Mr. Martinez, this is an out-of-county warrant from Monroe County related to failing to appear on a no valid driver's license case. Your bond is set at $10,000. Mr. Martinez, we will reach out to Monroe County to see if the issuing judge would like to make any modifications to the bond amount. Once we hear back from from Monroe County, you will be brought back to court and we will advise you of the decision. Thank you, sir. Oh, the public defender is also appointed on that case. Are you Mr. Speed?
No.
Sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Speed, you're here for an out-of-county warrant from Volusia County related to driving while license suspended.
Yes,
Your
ma'am.
bond, is it 500 or is it none?
I don't have a bond. Not that I'm aware of.
Because the teletype says 500.
We have it set in a system.
Oh, sorry, I didn't have a bond.
Let me look at.
I'm just confused. You want to see that?
I'm gonna look at the warrant.
Okay. Mr. Speed, while she's looking at that, let me explain to you. It says 500. In the event, do you see that?
Yes, the one says 500. Let me do the teletype. What is it? Yes.
I'm saying it at 500. All right, Mr. Speed, your bond is $500, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Are you going to be able to post that bond?
I can post that. You mean full 500?
Well, I mean, with a bondsman or however you want to do it, but I'm just asking if if you think you're going to post that.
I can post that.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, then we just have to call this attorney here. Mr. Parada, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, give me 1 second. We'll be on this one, right? Or we can try it, but I don't know if that's possible. What if I can do this? If this works. I'm gonna be cracked. Won't do it. Oh, it wants like a. Maybe you're only allowed to call within our directory. Do you know what I mean? Because it wants it to put the OCN, JCC on. No. Okay. You want to call me? And then put up here? Where's the speaker? Let's try this.
Good afternoon, Christopher speaking.
Good afternoon. Is this Attorney Shasani?
Yes, ma'am.
Did I say your name correctly?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, this is Judge Carter calling from Orange County. We're in court. I have Mr. Parada present.
Okay, perfect.
He was arrested in 2016 CF 3917 for failing to appear for a status hearing back on March 28th of 2018. It was for possession of cocaine, possession of drug paraphernalia, and possession of 20 grams or less of cannabis. Mr. Shasani, would you like to be heard?
Yes, please, Your Honor. Good afternoon. Christopher Shasani for the record on behalf of Anthony Peretta. Judge, we were just assigned to this case, or we just were retained yesterday. We took over from his previous attorney that was handling the cause. As you're aware, his release has been revoked. So we're respectfully requesting that a reasonable bond is set in this case. The failure to appear that you brought up was a status hearing back in March of 2018. Around that time, my client was in pretrial diversion and was subsequently removed, and therefore his case was put back on the docket. So it's the defense's position that he was unaware that he had a hearing since he didn't have any communication with his prior attorney after he was referred to PTD and his case was ultimately abated. And to the best of my knowledge, he did not receive anything in the mail. So I'm not even sure his own attorney showed up to the status hearing in question. Ultimately, it's my understanding that he thought his attorney was handling the matter since he didn't hear anything back from him, and I don't think there was a strong communication between those, both parties. Mr. Prada is not someone who knows a lot about the justice system since he's not, he's not had many run-ins with the law, as you can see from his lack of criminal history. If Mr. Prada would have known that the court date about the court date in question, he would have for sure been there, but he was not aware, and therefore it is the defense's contention that Mr. Prada's failure to appear was not willful. Also, would just like to point out again, Your Honor, that he has no criminal history. He has not been in trouble with the law since this cause, and therefore it is our position that he's not a threat to the community. He did not intentionally try to evade the court process, and I think it ultimately comes down to him not having a strong connection or communication with his attorney at the time, and a lot of things were left ambiguous or unclear and not thoroughly explained. Moving forward, he has taken proactive measures to swiftly address the action by immediately hiring a different attorney that will ensure no further mishaps occur moving forward. I'm going to be in full communication with him, making sure that he knows of each and every court date moving onward. Therefore, based on the aforementioned, Your Honor, we just respectfully request a reasonable bond set in this case.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Ms. Bush, did you want to be heard?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Having taken into consideration the argument of counsel along with Mr. Parada's criminal history or lack thereof, I will set bond on count 1 at $1,500, count 2, $100. He'll be ROR'd as to count 3, Mr. Parada, you are not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription. Anything else?
No, ma'am.
Nothing from the defense, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye-bye. Bye. And I believe that concludes second session. All right. All right, everyone. I will see you next week. All right. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great day.
Gave us the case, it was 40 something, but then after it ended up being 30 or something. It ain't much. That's it? Yeah, we're done.
Wait, Ms. Buckland. Okay.
That's it. You might have to throw it in the trash, but ain't no more, huh? Or just keep the bottle.
You are here for an initial appearance after detention. The rules of criminal procedure require that you be brought before a judicial officer within 24 hours of your arrest. The purpose of the initial appearance is to have a judge list the charges against you, inform you of certain rights that you have, and to determine the conditions of your release. You should have already received a copy of these charges. The judge will review your paperwork to determine if there was probable cause to arrest you. If the judge finds probable cause, he or she will then determine if you qualify for bond and what the monetary and non-monetary conditions of your bond should be. If the judge does not have enough information to make a probable cause determination for your arrest, the state may be given additional time to amend the paperwork. You should also be aware of the following rights afforded to you by the Constitution. You are not required to say anything at this proceeding. Anything you say can be used against you. You have the right to communicate with counsel, family, or friends, and if necessary, you will be provided a reasonable means to do so. You have the right to counsel. If you have not already retained counsel and cannot afford counsel, the judge will appoint you a public defender. For the purposes of today's initial appearance proceedings, you may be able to briefly speak with a public defender regardless of whether the public defender is appointed for you. In order to have an attorney appointed by the court to represent you, you must be financially eligible, as determined by the court based on financial information you provide. Therefore, if you have not already done so, please complete, to the best of your knowledge, the financial affidavits provided by the correction officers. An application fee for the services of appointed counsel will be assessed. If you do not speak English or Spanish, please let a corrections officer know. When the judge is ready, she or he will begin calling your case by name. Please listen carefully for your name. When called, please approach the microphone as directed by the corrections officers. Thank you.
Usted se encuentra aquí para una audiencia o vista preliminaria, después de haber sido arrestado. Las leyes y estatutos criminales del estado de la Florida requieren que se celebre una vista preliminaria ante un oficial judicial dentro de un plazo de 24 horas después de su arresto. El propósito de esta vista preliminaria es para que el juez pronuncie los cargos contra usted, para que se le comunique a usted sus derechos procesales y para determinar las condiciones de su libertad o fianza. Ya usted debería haber recibido una copia de estas alegaciones o acusaciones por escrito. Ahora, el juez revisará la documentación en su caso para determinar si existe motivo fundado o causa probable para su arresto y detención. Si el juez determina que existe causa probable o motivo fundado, entonces decidirá si usted califica para que se le otorgue una fianza, tanto como cuáles serían las condiciones monetarias o no monetarias de dicha fianza. Si el juez no posee suficiente información para determinar si existe causa probable o motivo fundado para justificar el arresto, se le concederá a la Fiscalía tiempo adicional para modificar la documentación. También se les avisa que posee los siguientes derechos que se les otorgan por la Constitución. A usted no se le puede obligar a decir nada durante esta vista. Cualquier cosa que diga podrá ser utilizada en su contra como evidencia. Usted tiene el derecho de comunicarse con un abogado, pariente o amigo, y si es necesario, que se les proporcione los medios razonables y disponibles para hacerlo. Usted tiene el derecho a un abogado. Si todavía no ha encontrado o contratado un abogado y no tiene los recursos para hacerlos, entonces el juez le nombrará un defensor público. Para el propósito de la audiencia preliminaria de hoy, se le permitirá hablar brevemente con un abogado de la oficina del defensor público, aun cuando no se le haya nombrado para representarle en todo el caso. Para poder recibir la designación de un abogado, primero debe calificar económicamente según lo determine el juez. Esto será basado en la información financiera que usted proporcione aquí. Por lo tanto, si no lo ha hecho todavía, de la mejor manera posible, por favor, llene el formulario de insolvencia económica que se le ha proporcionado por el oficial de correcciones. Se le impondrá un recargo o costo por los servicios del defensor público. Si usted no habla inglés, por favor, hágale saber al oficial de correcciones. Cuando esté listo, el juez comenzará el proceso llamando a cada una persona y caso por su nombre. Por favor, esté pendiente para pasar adelante cuando escuche su nombre y cuando escuche su nombre, haga el favor de acercarse al micrófono, tal como le indique el oficial de correcciones. Muchas gracias por su atención.
He'll be done any minute.
Okay.
Antonio Dominguez.
Court interpreters, can I help you?
Hello?
Good afternoon, this is the court interpreter.
Yes, we're here in case, for initial appearances. First case is 20 MM 1386, State versus Antonio Dominguez. And have you previously been sworn?
Yes, Your Honor, I have.
Okay. Mr. Dominguez, please state your name.
Antonio Dominguez.
Antonio Dominguez.
All right, Mr. Dominguez, you've been arrested on a charge of battery.
Señor Domínguez, a usted le detuvieron por una acusación de agresión física.
Your bond is presently set at $0.
Actualmente no tiene derecho a fianza.
Do we have any prior history, Mr. Dominguez?
¿Acaso él tiene antecedentes penales?
No prior history, Judge, and the victim is requesting contact.
I'm sorry, the interpreter cannot hear the speaker.
I think if you turn that microphone down or.
No prior history, and the victim is requesting contact.
No tiene antecedentes penales y la víctima está solicitando poder tener contacto.
All right. Mr. Dominguez, I will set bond in your case the amount of $500.
Señor Domínguez, en su caso dado se fijará fianza de $500,
It will be conditioned upon supervision by pretrial release.
supervisado por el programa de libertad vigilada.
It will be further conditioned upon you not having no hostile contact with Elaine Dominguez.
Prohibido tener ningún tipo de contacto hostil con Wade Domínguez
Or with Mr. Eddie Lopez.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Or with Mr. Eddie Lopez.
Ni tampoco con Eddie López.
It will be a condition of your pretrial release that you not possess or consume any alcoholic beverages at all.
Como condición de su libertad provisional, usted está prohibido en absoluto de consumir ningún tipo de bebida alcohólica,
Or any controlled substance without a valid prescription.
ni tampoco ningún tipo de sustancia regulada sin receta médica.
You will be subject to random testing to ensure that you comply with that requirement.
Se tendrá que someter usted a controles de orina aleatorias para asegurarnos que usted esté cumpliendo con esa condición.
You will not possess any weapons or firearms.
Prohibido la tenencia de armas o armas de fuego.
Your next court date will be
Next court date is still in jail, June 18th. If filed, July 21st in courtroom 5B at 8:30 a.m.
La próxima vista, si todavía se encuentra en la cárcel, el 14 de mayo, si no, es el 18 de julio, y si se radica el informe acusatorio es el 21 de julio a las 8:30 en la sala 5B.
Thank you, sir.
Gracias, señor.
Does anyone else require the services of the Spanish language interpreter? So, if you please come forward at this time.
Si usted requiere el servicio de un intérprete en español, por favor, en este momento acérquese.
Looks like we have one.
Your Honor, Omar Justiano Ayala.
Okay, thank you. All right. Good afternoon, sir. State your name.
Buenas tardes, señor. Indique su nombre.
Omar Justiniano.
Omar Justiniano.
Mr. Justiniano, you arrested on a warrant on a charge of, or for violation of probation on a charge of felony battery.
Señor Justiniano, usted fue detenido debido a una orden de arresto que se emitió por un acto de incumplimiento del régimen de libertad vigilada en una acusación de agresión física como delito grave
This is out of Orange County.
en el condado de Orange.
The Public Defender's Office is appointed to represent you.
Se le designa defensor público para representarle a usted.
Yo tengo abogado privado.
I already have a private attorney.
Very well. Do you know your attorney's name?
Muy bien. ¿Acaso se sabe usted el nombre del abogado?
Thomas Matthews.
Thomas Matthews.
Okay. Is Mr. Matthews aware that you are in custody at this time?
¿Acaso el licenciado Matthews sabe que usted en este momento dado se encuentra encarcelado?
Sí.
Yes.
Very well. Mr. Justiniano, you would normally be held in the Orange County Jail Osceola County Jail until Orange County comes to pick you up.
Señor Justiniano, usted se va a encontrar detenido en la cárcel del condado de Osceola hasta que los de Orange le vengan a recoger.
Given the restrictions involving the pandemic, I don't know if they're yet transporting people to Orange County.
Debido a las restricciones que están en vigor, debido a la pandemia, no sé si están transportando a las personas a Orange.
We can address either your bond or resolving your case entirely here in Osceola County if need be.
Si fuese necesario, podemos lidiar con la fianza o resolver la causa aquí en su totalidad si es necesario.
Mr. Matthews will know how to proceed.
El licenciado Matthews sabrá cuáles pasos tomar.
At this time, you'll be held without bond until further order of the court.
En este momento dado se encontrará usted detenido sin derecho a fianza hasta que haya una orden judicial indicando lo contrario.
Thank you, sir.
Gracias, señor. Your Honor, may the interpreter have the case number?
That is, well, maybe. Let's see.
Orange County case number, Your Honor?
Yeah, it looks like case 18 CF 122298.
Thank you.
16 CF 122298. And that's an Orange County case.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else need the interpreter? If so, please come forward.
Si queda alguien más que requiere un intérprete, por favor, acérquese.
No one else, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Madam Interpreter.
You're welcome. The interpreter will disconnect.
Morgan Antozewski. All right, good afternoon. State your name, please.
Morgan Victoria Aniszewski.
I'm sorry, how do you say your last name?
Aniszewski.
Anchevsky?
Aniszewski, yeah.
And, I'm sorry, I apologize for butchering your last name. Ma'am, you were arrested on a warrant out of Orange County for failure to appear on a charge of reckless driving resulting in property damage and leaving the scene of an accident involving property damage. Your bond total is $1,500. It's going to remain at that amount today. Do you think you can be able to post bond?
Yes, but I have a warrant in Seminole County also.
You have a warrant what?
In Seminole County.
Okay. But if you do post bond, in this case, be released as to discharge, I don't see the hold from Seminole County at this time, but they may be waiting to execute that until you resolve this case. Unless you post bond, you'll be held until Orange County comes to pick you up. The Public Defender's Office is appointed to represent you. Again, under the current situation, it may be possible for you to resolve your Orange County case here in Osceola County. It also could be possible for you to resolve the Seminole County case down here as well. You can talk to your attorney about whether that is possible or not. All right?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. April Brown?
Your Honor, she refused.
All right, well, Ms. Brown was arrested on 2 warrants for failure to appear for pretrial before Judge Wooten in cases 19 CF 3626 and 19 CF 3625. Her bond is $2,200 in each case. The Public Defender's Office is appointed to represent her. We have trial.
Next court date for 2019, CF 3626 and 3625, September 2nd in courtroom 5A at 9 a.m.
Thank you. Anthony Guzman. All right, state your name, sir.
Anthony Guzman.
Mr. Guzman, you're arrested on a charge of a warrant charging you with battery. Your bond was set at 0. Do we have any information, Mr. Guzman?
This defendant has criminal history going back to 2004, several charges of domestic battery, failure to appear. The victim in this case is only requesting contact for the kids and no return to the household.
All right. Mr. Guzman, based on the alleged facts in this case, I'm going to set bond at $500. It will be conditioned upon supervision by pretrial release. It will further be conditioned upon you not having any, at this time, any contact with Ana Ibelis Hernandez, with the following exceptions. You may have contact in writing or by email or by text or through your attorney. But we need to have as far as your independent contact with Ms. Hernandez, there has to be a way to verify exactly what was said. Your contact with Ms. Hernandez is limited to strictly to the welfare of your children at this time. It'll be a condition that you not possess any weapons or firearms. And You will not be allowed to return to the area of 1804 Avon Boulevard in Kissimmee. You may do so on one occasion accompanied by a law enforcement officer to retrieve any clothing or personal possessions you may have at that address. Again, the public defender's office is appointed to represent you in this case. The conditions of release can be modified by the judge that'll be handling your case once he or she has a little more information regarding the circumstances, so you can talk to your attorney about that. But it is very important that you follow the restrictions to the letter until or unless those restrictions are modified. Otherwise, you could wind up sitting back in jail until the case is resolved. Your next court date will be?
If still in jail, June 18th. If out, July 13th in courtroom 5B at 8:30 a.m.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Walter Smith? Good afternoon, Mr. Smith. State your name, please.
My name is Walter Ray Smith, sir.
Okay, Ms. Smith, haven't seen you in a while. You arrested on a warrant on charges of aggravated assault and battery. Your bond is presently set at 0. Do we have any recent history?
Recent history, 2019, possession of drug paraphernalia. He was found guilty in April of 2020. Aggravated assault with that weapon. Those charges were dropped. That is all.
Mr. Smith, I'm going to set bond. Bond will be set in the amount of $1,000 for count 1, $500 for count 2. That will be conditioned upon supervision by pretrial release. If you post bond, you will not have contact directly or indirectly with Mary Heffler or with Anthony J. Hawes. You will not return to the area of 506 Massachusetts Avenue, nor will you go to the address of 3302 Blue Jay Court.
So can I address the court?
You can. You might want to talk to your attorney first. And let me just caution you, you don't have to say anything. And if you do say anything about the facts of your case, it could be used against you later.
I just want to state, sir, that the lady that's on that paper, Mary Hamlin, she does not live in my house.
Okay, and that's fine. If pretrial release verifies that she does not reside at that address, I would allow you to return to the address. But that'll have to be verified by pretrial release first. Until pretrial release makes that verification, you would be allowed to return on one occasion accompanied by a law enforcement officer to retrieve clothing or personal possessions you may need from the residence.
No problem.
It'll be a condition of your pretrial release that you not possess any weapons or firearms. Very well, the public defender's office is appointed to represent you. Your next court date will be on demand in circuit court, madam.
We also request no drugs or alcohol, Your Honor.
It'll also be a condition you not possess or consume alcoholic beverages or controlled substance without a prescription. You will be subject to random testing as to that. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Your Honor, when is the next court date?
The next court date is on demand since this was a felony charge, so.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. I didn't hear that.
Thank you. Brandon Del Valle. State your name, sir.
Brandon Nova.
Mr. Del Valle, you were arrested on a warrant for violation of probation, case 18 CF 815. In that case, your bond is set at 0. You were also arrested on a new charge of resisting an officer without violence. You have a bond of $500 on that, in that case. The public defender's office is appointed to represent you.
I have a private attorney, sir.
Okay, who's your attorney, sir?
Corey Cohen.
Okay. Corey Cohen, is he representing you on both cases? Or his
yes,
office?
sir.
All right. Your next court dates will be?
Next court date for 2020, MM 1385. If still in jail, June 18th. If out, July 21st in courtroom 5B at 8:30 a.m. And for 2018, CF 815, next court date, June 17th, in courtroom 5F at 8:15 a.m.
And does Mr. Cohen's office know that you've been arrested?
Yes, sir. I actually thought they were going to be here today, but I guess not, being that the court date is next week.
Right, I haven't heard from anyone from that office this afternoon, but they may be tied up elsewhere.
Yes, sir.
In any event, they know how to schedule a hearing if they need to set one earlier.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Jay Garrigan.
Your Honor, he reviewed.
All right, well, Mr. Garrigan was arrested on charge of grand theft of a motor vehicle, possession of firearm by a convicted felon, possession of drug paraphernalia. His bond total is $11,000. He'll remain at that amount at this time. The court does find probable cause. I'll appoint the office of the public defender to represent Mr. Garrigan. His next court date will be on demand in circuit court. Thank you. Holly Gatson. All right, state your name, please.
Holly Gatson.
Ms. Gatson, you were arrested on charge of battery. Your bond was set at $0. Do we have any information on Ms. Gatson?
She has one prior arrest out of New Jersey for shoplifting. That was back in 1998, and we couldn't have any contact with the victim today.
Ms. Gatson, because of the offense, you don't qualify for direct pretrial release, but I will set bond in the amount of $100. It will be conditioned upon supervision by pretrial release. If you do post bond, you will not have contact directly or indirectly with Kevin Haskins, nor with Machika. I don't see the last name. You will not return to the area of 2484 Huron Circle. Now, you have children residing with Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
I will allow you to have contact with Mr. Haskins regarding the welfare of the children and visitation only. That communication has to be and is limited to writing, email, or text message, or contact through your attorney until further order of the court. Your next court date will be?
Next court date, if still in jail, June 18th. If out, July 21st, in courtroom 5B at 8:30 a.m.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Amy Lockhart. All right, state your name, please.
Amy Lockhart.
Okay, Ms. Lockhart, you were arrested on charge of battery. Your bond was set at $0. There's apparently a witness who wants to provide testimony, so we're going to wait for him to be brought in. All right, sir, if you'll raise your right hand, you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
What is your name, sir?
Damon Ling.
All right, Mr. Ling, you are listed as the alleged victim in the case involving Ms. Lockhart. The court at this time is considering conditions of release. Is there any input you wish to provide to the court as far as what you would like to see happen at this time?
I mean, I'd like to see her get released.
Are you afraid of Ms. Lockhart?
Not at all.
If something were to happen where she were to physically assault you or attack you, would you hesitate to call law enforcement?
Say that one more time.
Would you call law enforcement if there were a situation in which she did physically assault or attack you?
Probably.
All right. State any questions?
Yes. Has anything like this happened between you and the defendant before?
Wait, can you repeat the question? I couldn't hear you.
I'm sorry, has anything like this ever happened between you and the defendant before?
No.
And are you currently living together?
Yes.
Do you have any children in common?
No.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Any questions from the defense?
No, Your Honor, no further questions.
All right, thank you. All right, any input from the state?
Prior history goes back to 2000 with charges of aggravated battery on a Leo, a battery, robbery and sudden snatching. Has a total of 32 appears, and the last arrest came in September 2019. Possession of controlled substance and drug paraphernalia. She was found and she opened for that.
Okay, Mr. Ling, where does Laura Lockhart live?
On the same property.
That's 230 Latonia Street.
Yes, sir.
Is that a single, is that a house, a trailer, apartment?
House.
Is Laura Ms. Lockhart's mother or sister, or, I'm sorry?
Her aunt.
Okay. All right, Ms. Lockhart, I'm going to set bond the amount of $100. It will be conditioned upon supervision by pretrial release. If you do post bond, I'm going to order that you not have contact with Laura Lockhart and order that you find another place to stay. You can't return to 330 Latonia Street. You may do so on one occasion, accompanied by a law enforcement officer to pick up clothing or personal possessions you have at that property. Be further ordered that you not have any hostile contact with Damon Ling. The Public Defender's Office has been appointed to represent you. Your next court date will be
Next court date is still in jail, June 18th. If filed July 1st in courtroom 4E at 8:30 a.m.
Thank you, sir. Rebecca Reese. State your name, please.
Rebecca Ann Reese.
Okay, Ms. Reese, you arrested on charge of battery. Your bond was set at 0. Do we have any information?
Judge, she has 2 prior arrests, one in 2013 for a driver license suspended, and 2018 insufficient funds, worthless checks, and we were not able to contact the victim.
All right, Ms. Reese, I'm going to set your bond the amount of $100. It will be conditioned upon supervision by pretrial release. Until further order of the court, I'm going to order that you not have contact directly or indirectly with Philip Lanford. And you have to find another place to stay on a temporary basis. You going to be able to do that?
He don't have no keys in my house. He's not doing no more. The sheriff made him leave yesterday.
I couldn't hear.
The officer made him leave yesterday with all his clothes, told him do not return back to my house.
Okay. Well, that's fine. If he's not there, then you'll be allowed to return.
Yes, sir.
One PTR.
Pretrial release will have to verify that first. If they are unable to verify that, or if he's there, you'll have to find another place on a temporary basis. You would be allowed to return on one occasion, accompanied by a law enforcement officer, to retrieve any clothing or personal possessions you may have at that address. I'm not going to impose any other conditions. Your next court date will be
Next court date is still in jail, June 18th. If filed July 13th in courtroom 4A at 1 p.m.
Thank you, ma'am. Pierre Brinson?
Your Honor, he refused.
Okay, we were told yesterday he bonded out, but he didn't.
Was he? Let me check.
No, he did not bond out, Judge. That was a mistake.
Yeah.
He's still here, Your Honor. That was,
Okay.
some type of confusion yesterday, but he's refusing. He's been asked a few times about this court appearance today.
All right. He's arrested on charge of trespass.
Criteria, Judge, if you would like to release a PTR.
What kind of recent history does he got?
Recent, he has April 2019 petty theft, which also had a violation of probation. He was found guilty in January 2020.
All right. Based on this charge, I will leave the bond set at $500 or in the alternative, approved pretrial release if he does qualify. He's apparently refused to complete the assessment so far, but if he agrees to do that and he otherwise meets criteria, I would authorize pretrial release. Public Defender's Office is appointed. All right. Yes?
Hi, I'm Officer Dundrick. I'm with Returns. I actually went down and spoke to Mr. Brinson, and he has completely declined.
I'm sorry,
I'm sorry, Judge. He declined pretrial release, and
Okay.
I advised him that he needs to come to court, and he said he wanted to stay in jail.
All right. Well, that's his choice. If he doesn't cooperate with the assessment, then he'll.
Well, he did his assessment today. He did show up for pre-trial release, pre-IAs, I'm sorry. He completed that. I explained to him that he could be released direct PTR today by the judge, but I don't know why he decided.
I'll leave it in the alternative. If he agrees to pretrial release and otherwise qualifies, he can get out. If he wants to post a $500 bond, he can get out. If he wants to do neither, he wants to stay where he is, that's his choice as well.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Next court date is still in jail, June 18th, and filed July 6th in courtroom 5B at 8:30 a.m.
Okay, Rose Moles?
Your Honor, we're going to be waiving the formal reading of the charges.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Moles.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. George Martin, how are you?
Doing well. Ms. Moles, the state has filed a sworn supplement from Detective Kiefer, and based on that supplement, I do at this time find probable cause that you committed the offenses for which you were arrested. So your bond in this case will remain as set yesterday in the amount of $1,000 as to each count. Now, I know you've got some other cases, some other fish to fry, so to speak, and Mr. Mullins can assist you with that, but your bond in this case will remain as set. Your bond in this case will remain as I said it yesterday. Your bond in this case will remain in the amount that I set yesterday. So you have a bond that totals $2,000 in this case.
So I got a bond of $2,000.
In this case, yes.
Okay. So, because Ernie Mullins told me that he's doing me a bond hearing, so I'm okay, right? Okay. I'm okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, I think that's all we have.
Your Honor, that's everyone.
All right, thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.